Hey all, it's Paul from Drums and Rums, where the backbeats meet the spirits. Did you check that out? That was awesome. That's our first intro live, kicking it behind the drums. So we're going to learn a little bit more about our guest there that was behind the kit. So, episode number 34, where the backbeats meets the spirits. On our podcast for March, we'll be celebrating Women's Month with women who are either in the rum industry or those who are drummers.
I'm in both.
So let's kick this podcast off first. I'd like to introduce the one, the only, the king of all media, Brad Brock, for letting us crash here. The I can't even say it now. Legendary.
We started drinking too early, man. Yeah. Oh wait, I'm turned around here.
There you go. Yeah.
There I am.
Hey.
All right. At the Legendary JNC Lounge for the show. Hey, I said it right this time.
You got it.
You did.
Finally. Only after, how many is it, 59 episodes that you've been doing?
59 rums.
Yeah, 50. Yeah. And last and certainly not least, our guest is a local musician here in South Florida who sings and plays in a ukulele duo, The Little Things. But when she's not uking, she's the drummer in the international band and performing with New Zealander Joz Joslin.
Yeah.
As well as local band here, Lefty Loosey. So we're going to learn more all about that. Tonight is all about drums and all about our guests and all about celebrating Women's Month. So I can't wait to dive on into the conversation here. Please welcome our guest on the podcast, Shance Gransam.
Woo. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how are you doing, Shanece?
I am doing well. I'm 2 whiskeys in, and I'm about to be 1 rum in, so we're good.
So we'll change up. Yeah, we've talked about branching out on the podcast network to drums and rums, bass and bourbons. Yeah, we can just branch off.
Right, we'll see how the night goes.
We'll franchise all of that there. So again, first off, excited to meet you and have you on the show. After hearing you on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, we talked about that, I think, on Sunday when we came and checked you out performing with the Little Things. And I told Brad, I said, I think I texted him. Well, I think I told you I'm listening. I was in the pool and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, "This is awesome." Shanece and Katie are awesome. They're all over the place. It is awesome.
Yeah, we are. But, totally different vibe from the drum thing, but definitely awesome vibe.
So let's go ahead and just jump right in here. So again, you're a drummer, multi-instrumentalist.
Well, I'd like to think so when I'm feeling good.
We all have our airs of as we were talking earlier when we watch somebody else who's maybe younger than us just totally kill it, and we're like,
oh
yeah,
God.
let's just
These
sell,
kids,
yes,
man.
Just put all my stuff on eBay and sell this stuff. So, so what kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Wow. Well, I first of all, I didn't grow up. Well, I grew up in this country.
I just came here from
Peter Pan over there.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I landed from Venus, and
yeah,
I came
who
to
knows?
take over.
I don't even know anymore. I can't keep track of it. But no, I grew up in Trinidad. I lived there till I was about 11. And so, predominantly I'm listening to a lot of like reggae, soca, calypso, things like that, which nobody in my family plays an instrument. I'm, as far as I know, the only one that does. I have a few like DJs and things like that in there, but not anybody that actually plays anything.
Right.
That I know of anyway. So I didn't really think anything of music growing up outside of just like, I'm just listening to music and I'm dancing and carnival and things like that at home. Really where it started was when I moved to New York. I got tossed into piano class, and I took like piano for a year in 7th grade. And then I moved to Florida, and then they didn't have a piano class, so they tossed me into band. And in 8th grade, everybody already has their instrument. They've been going at it. So naturally, they stuck me in the percussion section. And they're like, here, play this triangle. You'll be fine at that, right? Go ding ding. You'll be good. So I did that, and I for whatever reason, I really loved it. And I took to it, and I'd come to school early every morning, and my band teacher would come in a half hour early and teach me how to read. And it all just kind of was born from there,
That's, yeah. So you didn't have necessarily somebody in your immediate family who there was music or instruments around your house, though, but there was obviously music in your
Yeah,
community
no.
enough
Like
for-
as a matter of fact, I was like discouraged because it was taking away from my academics. So for me, it was a big push
right.
my whole life to kind of just be like, this is what I want. This is what I love. This is what I want to do. But always worth it.
Very. So through middle school, continuing with that education, and you did a little bit of jazz as well.
Yeah, so I got through middle school. I learned in 8th grade, and I did my best with what I knew. And then I got into high school, and then here comes marching band. And you're like, great, I don't know how to march a drum. I don't even know if I can carry a drum. Like at that time, I'm like 100 pounds soaking wet. Like I don't know what I can carry. And I don't know what it is. The thing about music, especially for me, I would say music as a whole, but drum and percussion, is that I've always felt like an intense connection. Even though I didn't know what I was doing necessarily, I always wanted to learn more. It was always more fascinating to me.
Right.
Because it was like learning a new language, And so I got into high school, did marching band, did the same thing with my band director. He taught me more. And then by my sophomore year, I was teaching freshmen coming in how to read music, which is really great.
That's cool.
And then by my junior year, the guy that was playing drum kit for our jazz band in high school was graduating. And I had no idea. I didn't know shit about, can I say that? I didn't know shit about fuck. Okay, so I was on there and I was like,
Maybe I shouldn't have clicked the it's for kids on the YouTube.
Okay,
well.
no. So I'll censor it. Sorry. I didn't know anything, but I was like, please let me do this. I begged my band director, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll let you do this, but put in the work, do it, So I got some charts I pulled some charts from our band library in the band room, and I just would sit on the kit after school and put headphones in and listen to jazz and like try to mimic what I heard. And yeah, I just got into jazz kit that way. And then it ended up paying my way through music school and scholarship in college, because partially one of my scholarships was a jazz band scholarship for kit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it's not very easy to most people to get that, right?
Well, it was hard. I was considered for Young Floridian. So I was a Young Floridian in my high school for music. But in every high school, there's a Young Floridian for every curriculum activity. So, whatever subjects, things like that. And one person from that high school gets a scholarship. So unfortunately, it wasn't music that year, but I was still Young Floridian for music, which was cool. But yeah, it was really easy. I had to do a lot of auditioning and things like that. And I guess I must have just impressed them. I don't know what I did, but I got it. So.
So where did you go to school after that?
I ended up just staying in Fort Pierce, because the band director there at the time, I don't think he's there anymore, but Dr. Southall was somebody that everybody wanted to be under his direction. I mean, people were coming home from universities just to be under his direction.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
it was crazy. So everything I know musically is given basically to my high school director and Dr. Southall at college.
Sure. So the going through and learning the charts, and so you're pretty fluent then in reading music.
Oh yeah, a big part of my musicality was learning how to read. If I couldn't read, I couldn't do any of that stuff. I wouldn't have gotten scholarships.
So do you think that have you ever thought about doing studio work or like being very specific, like a studio drummer as well?
Yeah. So when I was living in New Orleans, that was something I was really looking into doing, but it's hard in a city like New Orleans because you're moving there.
Right. And there's so much.
And the
air
is oversaturated. So everything you want to do, somebody is already doing it, and they're already doing it better than you. So what you have to do now is similar to when you're an acoustic musician. Go to the open mics, play,
pay
get
dues.
noticed.
Right.
Yeah. So right when I moved from New Orleans, actually I had gotten a really great offer from a band called Sweet Crude to come be their drummer, and they're signed, and it was really great, but it was a weird decision because as much as I love drumming and I love what I do percussion-wise, I wanted so much to focus on the little things and my duo that I had to turn it down. But had I not, I mean, I would have made it, which always kind of satiates me. It's like I made it,
Right.
Without even doing the band, I know that I did it.
And I can totally understand that because, like I said, hearing you guys on Brad's podcast, and then seeing you guys live and other stuff, I'm like, you guys are just awesome. So it's one of those. It's one of those. I know. I'm sure it's. Don't mess up a good thing.
Right. And it's a bit bittersweet because you're like, I want to make it somewhere, so I can't have my hands in too many pots, you know? And so, like, when you're doing too many things at once, you're not really focused on one thing. And so my thing back then was like, okay, well, this is a great opportunity, but I'm
Right.
still just someone's percussionist, whereas when my duo makes it, I'm my own
Right.
self, you know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of that decision, but it made me feel good that I did it, you know? But yeah, I definitely am a great session drummer and great with music and reading and things like that.
So you moved to, so that moved to New Orleans. How
Yes.
was that? Just a jump in the car and go, or
Yeah, pretty much. We were here. We were struggling. I had just graduated high school at the time. Katie had just graduated as well. We were working that was the last time I actually worked a corporate job. That was the
Oh.
one. We were working at a call center. This was, I don't know, 9 years ago now, maybe, working at a call center.
medical supplies?
Pretty much. But we were in HR. We weren't on the floor. So we were doing okay for ourselves, but still didn't love it so much, you know. And we had a friend who was like, I'm kind of sick of living in Florida. I want to just come move to New Orleans with me. And we were like, without even thinking about it, like, yes. And we went to New Orleans for 4 days, came back to Florida for a week. And I'm not joking. At the end of that week, we were living in New Orleans. I mean, it was like everything I've ever done in my life or, you know, we've done in our lives have been very, like, on the whim.
Right.
Like, let's just do it. Because why not?
Spontaneous.
Exactly. You can't not be. Well, it's not going to happen for you. You know, you have to do it yourself.
And I'm sure it, you know, so that was when, you know, how many years ago? 10 years
Yeah,
ago,
about
at least?
just
10?
about 9
10.
years, 10 years, yeah.
And to be able to, again, I know it's tougher as you get older, responsibility, you know, a lot of things. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but again, it does make it. But so when you,
Well, I don't have kids for one, so that's good. No responsibilities but me, myself, and I.
So moving out to New Orleans and as moving out to New Orleans and to pursue out there as little things, because I think I heard you guys talk about on the podcast was you kind of was starting to learn your voice or your as in the duo, right, with Katie.
So as much as I learned about percussion and drums, I did not know that I could sing. I mean, I would sing in the shower, and I thought I was a pretty decent singer, but not anybody who could perform. I could hold a tune, you know, like people can. And then
you're, you know, here, and Brad, chime in here. She is so sweet and super, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? So help me out here. Phone a friend.
Like calm and relaxed, or
Yeah, like
yeah, just
you know, she's not. You know, I guess the opposite of not full. You're very yeah. Anyway, so and talking about yeah. I'll try
well, I'm very in case anybody's wondering.
I think so where I'm trying to segue in there is on the podcast there is, again, for those, I know we're talking drums. Again, we're talking about a lot of things. Again, we always talk about what are the Drums and Rums podcast is everything between drums and rums and everything else.
Well, you got to do the introductory at least.
Of course,
you know?
of course. But I wanted to kind of mention as you were talking, sorry to cut you off, was
You're good.
your singing where you're being very, not full, shit, I just can't get the word out.
Modest?
Here. Yeah.
Modest?
Modest, thank you. That's
Oh,
it.
that's
There
so
you go.
funny. If
Yeah.
Katie's watching it, she's going to laugh because I am like the most not modest person.
No, well, I mean, I guess maybe the way you're explaining it, because y'all, you got to check out that episode of the podcast because our man here, Brad, was totally thought he had technical issues on that podcast because their singing together was.
you're right.
Well,
It was. Well, I remember vividly when they sang their very first song on the Jams and Cocktails live podcast.
Ooh, I like the announcer word.
Shameless plugs early.
It's my
Nice.
little shameless plug.
Gives me chills.
But yeah, they kicked into their very first song, and I thought that I had some sort of phase problem,
I remember now.
and
yeah.
I was like, and so they're like playing, and I'm like looking at things.
He's looking
on
at
the
us
board.
like,
Yeah.
is everything okay? And we're like singing, and we're like, yeah, no, we're fine. Like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay?
And then they tapped into that harmony, and I was like, oh my god, their voices are just gelled that way.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Well, let me say though, when we started doing this, rest assured, it did not sound that well. I did not sound that good. Okay, so this is eight. Eight years in the making.
You've already said that you arrived here, and this is how you started singing.
That's
Land
it.
Land on Earth, right?
Yeah.
Right. Port St. Lucie, capital of UFO.
No. It was Katie one day. What happened was I had a really bad anxiety attack. I'd never really experienced anxiety before, and I had one. And Katie's way of getting me out of it was like, hey, let's just like sing this song, learn this instrument with me, distract yourself.
Right.
And so I did, and she helped, and I learned how to play ukulele, and we would sit out on our doorstep and we'd sing, and then next thing you know, people were tipping us, and I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. And so there we were, and somebody offered us our first gig for like, I don't know, they paid us like like $50 for like 2 hours or 3 hours, and we were like so excited about it. And now you know, but yeah, it was interesting to kind of like learn that little bit about myself that I could sing, and if I really tried, I could do it.
No, and that's awesome, because there's some things that we don't, and sharing that story is about how you didn't think you were there, but then again having Katie to help you see things. And
I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own for sure. I mean, I wouldn't have even thought about it. Is my point.
Right.
At least she's a vocalist, but I just didn't.
Right.
It didn't dawn on me.
So you moved to New Orleans, and now you're again trying to break into. It's like I think New Orleans and Nashville and probably a couple other places in the country is very much like the New York and LA of equivalent to for musicians.
Yeah.
And I the one time I've been in New Orleans, I almost didn't want to leave because
most people say that.
Yeah.
And
I'm one of them as well.
And speaking of, my own little plug here as well too is, and coming up also this month in our women's celebration is we have the CEO Katie Darling of Celebration Distillation. They are based in New Orleans.
Celebration Distillation.
Yeah,
I like that name.
So they've got a couple different rums that I was able to pick up through some travels through the state. But again, a lot of this craft rum is very hard to get because of distribution.
Yeah.
And again, moving it and having connections, et cetera. So there's a lot of it. So anyway, that was my segue there. But I was at the time, if you get a chance to check out the Foo Fighters, had done I think it was the album Sonic Highway, and they also had a like an HBO series where they filmed in every city.
So what's so funny about this? You're telling me this right now.
Oh, okay.
So they actually, I forget what song it was, but one day we were living on Royal Street, and one day Katie and I are sitting, and shotgun houses in New Orleans are like each room walks into the room, so everything's kind of like pulled back. So we're sitting in our very front room, which the windows, everything opens right up to the street. And we're like, what is that sound? And we hear this huge, and it looks like a parade coming down the road. It's this band coming down, and they're playing, and there's all these people following them down the road. And we're looking, and we're like, that's the Foo Fighters. They're walking down our street right now, filming this music video. And I mean, if you look hard enough and you squint really down, forensic files, you might be able to see us in the window back there. But they did. They were walking down our street, filming this song, and we were like, only in New Orleans would you just be sitting in your living room, like, doing whatever we were doing, playing video games or whatever. And next thing you know, the Foo Fighters are coming down the road filming something. So that was cool.
That is awesome. Did you guys not run out there? And
I mean, we did, but they were in the middle of production, and we did a bunch of extra work too. So we were very respectful of okay, well, they're filming, don't go up in there, because we were like, we know,
we're cool.
Yeah, we're cool. We know what's up here.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
That's
and we saw them at Voodoo Fest too. I think it was that year we saw them at Voodoo Fest in New Orleans. Yeah, they were incredible.
So all right. So I know you and I both probably suffer from squirrel. So we'll try to come on back here. So
yeah, where are we, Brad? We need you. Reel us in.
Listen, guys.
Yeah, stay on track. So
I'm over here. I'm filling the producer role tonight,
yes.
Which is where I live. It's my favorite thing.
It's almost you do that for your show, and you're doing talking and running all the magic.
Yeah,
there,
he's a magic
I
man.
know he's got a lot of buttons and things.
I'll take that. I'll be the magic man. That sounds fun.
So in New Orleans, there you
Yeah.
had also performed with the Bayou Saints.
Yes. So that's the most random thing, actually. I was performing with this artist called Lauren Sturm in her band called Sturmlandia. And she was coming from San Francisco at the time. And so she was very artistic and very eclectic and very I have a vision and everything is an art piece, you know? You weren't playing just songs, you were performing art.
Right.
So you're at these art shows. And so we were performing the show, and the band opening after us was the Bayou Saints. But they were opening, I think they were just doing a trio at the time. So it was rhythm guitarist, lead guitarist, upright bassist, and that was it. And we had played before them, and so they got there a little early and they were listening. And then next thing you know, at the end of our show, the bassist comes up to me and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy wants to talk to you." And then the lead singer comes, "Oh yeah, this guy wants to talk to you." And then he comes up to me and I'm like, "Okay, who am I talking to? I've had 3 people, what do I do?" And so they liked me, and I started filling in for shows with them at the time where I would just do drums and the rhythm guitar, and that was it, which was crazy, but it worked. I mean, she was just an incredible player, incredible vocalist, just Creole woman, couldn't sing any better than anybody I've ever encountered in my life, to be honest with you. And yeah, she's just phenomenal. And I would just play drums behind her and her acoustic guitar. And then sometimes we'd add in a bass, sometimes we'd add in a lead. And next thing you know, everybody was like, "Okay, we're really actually loving doing this.
Right.
Let's get together. Let's do it on purpose. Let's have rehearsals." And so we did, and we started playing around town, and we started touring even. We did a few Florida tours and a few tours throughout the South too, down in Texas and things like that. But yeah, it was really heartbreaking to leave them, leaving New Orleans. But again, it was just, we left New Orleans for the little things, not for anything more than we just wanted to kind of do our thing as a duo. But I would say that is the hardest band I've had to walk away from.
Really?
Because not only did we sound so great, we just had so much fun.
Right.
We just all were we're best friends with each other. We do barbecues and dinners and hang out. It wasn't just a business. It was we were each other's family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what New Orleans is about too. So it was just it felt nice.
And that's something I observed. Again, not been in Louisiana a whole lot. Known. There's it's a very cultural place. From whether it's in the New Orleans area or whether it's more in the western part, is just it's a very
it's family. Everybody's family.
Very, and very rugged people too.
Well, that's the thing. You're raw.
Right, especially with, we talked about a couple hurricanes last year and having to deal with that. And,
well, the thing is in New Orleans, if you're too, I don't know, put together, people are suspicious of you. You kind of have to be a little raw and be yourself.
Right.
And a big thing is NOLA time. If something's starting at 8. That thing's not going to start till 8:15, 8:30.
Yeah, what did you guys call that? Laissez-faire?
Yeah, laissez-faire, exactly. And it's still, Katie and I struggle with that still. Let me tell you, we'll be showing up to gigs at 10 till, and the owners will be freaking out. Luckily for us, we set up really quickly, but they all freak out. We're like, no, don't worry, we'll actually be ready on time. I know we're here laissez-faire time, but we'll be fine.
So I guess I should let you know, March 14th is the clock's spring ahead, okay?
Yeah, thank you. No, I needed to know that. Thank you. Thank you very
go.
much. Thank you.
So
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the calendar right now.
Right. Drums and Rums, where you learn about time changes more than just on the clock on the wall.
Where you get
right?
disciplined.
Time change there, right? Yep. Oh, see what I did there?
Time change.
Gotcha.
Oh, where are my sound effects?
I gotcha.
don't have them.
That's okay. My show is very low budget. So and I guess that's kind of like what they refer to here as our Miami time here in South Florida. So probably very
yeah,
So,
very similar.
I think it's got something probably to do with the heat. That's probably what
Well,
it is.
in
right?
New Orleans, it's you got the heat and you got the humidity.
Yeah.
People think it's humid here. Man, let me
Right.
tell you. There are months where you'll go to stores and there'll be signs that say, we don't want your cash. It's been sitting in your sweaty butt pocket for the last 5 hours. You can only take card right now or dry. They will say, we will only take card or dry bills.
Wow.
Because it's that humid, and you have to consider that when you're going out there. So it's crazy.
So when we plan our Drums and Rums road trip here, Brad, we're
Yeah.
we're kidnapping Shanece, and she's going to be our tour guide.
Oh, totally. I got you. I'll even drive. You guys good?
We got to make sure that we put our dollar bills in Ziplocs. Though.
Yeah.
Keep them nice and dry.
or even the whole wallet, actually. Put the whole wallet in there and then put it in the pocket.
Probably better.
So that's so you're talking about the acoustic and the drums, right? So
Yeah.
this is something that here in our area there's a lot of awesome, very talented musicians. A lot of soloists as well.
For sure, yeah.
There's not as many though that I see. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong though, because you're out there in full-time musician mode. There's not as many, guitarists, guitarists, and drummers though.
Yeah, apart from Brad Brock, there's not many.
Well, he is everybody. He is.
No, actually,
He's
there's
the one-man band.
What is their name, Brad? Maybe you'll know. You'll help me. Because we're new to town, but they're the 80s. They do a bunch of 80s stuff, maybe.
And
they're just a guitarist and a drummer.
Just a guitar and a drummer.
And they played Zach's wedding, and I can't remember their name right now. Oh my gosh, I wish I could. But that's the only band that I know.
Oh, they play 80s music?
I think, but I'm not sure.
Mm.
But it's a lot of their own music too. Anyway,
Should we phone a friend?
Yeah. And if anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, please let us know. But that's the only band I know of. And you're right. I don't think I see a lot of...
I feel like that's kind of a weird combo, though. I mean, the White Stripes did it and made it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you have a strong enough guitarist with a strong enough right hand, you can do it. But that's the thing. This is what I'm saying with Arsene, who I was playing with in the
That's my
backstage.
strong hand.
Yeah, dude. And she would crush you with it, too. Like, she will literally crush you with it. She does no problems. But, I mean, this woman would get up there and play her acoustic and just get in there. And when you heard the drums with it, you really didn't hear anything missing. It was crazy, But it's like you have to have that, like, guff about you.
Well, yeah, that was the big challenge that I faced doing the one-man band thing.
Yeah.
And I use an octave pedal, and thank God Boss just came out with recently with their very new OC5, which takes the lowest note in your chord and octaves that. So now you can straight up chord.
So you have some bass in there, yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to make bass lines, and so for me as a one-man band that does that kind of thing, it was like a godsend. So now I have a much fuller sound, but yeah, I couldn't imagine doing just guitar and drums without any of that low end. It seems a little bizarre.
It's weird. It just works. If you have a strong enough guitarist, it just works.
So I think I'm trying to subliminally plant the seed here too that Shanece and I should form our own little sub project of that, right? So we can mix it up and do a little ukin and drumming and so forth.
And then drumming and ukin, yeah.
But so and that's again, I think because that brings a different element, right? Mm-hmm. And again, you've got that punch. There's a driving.
That's the thing too with the acoustic is you have so much of that percussion there, so you almost have like the hand percussionness of what you want on the acoustic guitar on top of the like melody of it,
right?
And then you have like the drummer coming in and kind of just like holding it down beneath you. And the thing, I think the key with this is, which is why I worked with the Bayou Saints at first and why they loved me, is I'm very much so like a pocket drummer. I'm not very flashy. I'll just sit in the pocket all day. Yep. I'll fill here and there, and I can if you need me to, and I'll solo if you need me to, and it's fine. But I would rather just be a pocket drummer, and like, it's all about like the whole sound for me, and not just like what I can do. You know. So that's why that worked, is because I would just sit in the pocket with her, and it would be like you had a drum machine. You set up a loop pedal, and you set up a beat, and you just kept that going. Like that was just me. So if people can do that looping with just their acoustic guitars, I mean, that's just why I'm here. I'm just like a paid looper pedal, which, it's not enticing right now, but here we are.
What did I just see? I just saw something, and maybe it was on Sweetwater or somewhere. It was a pedal for drummers. It was like an acoustic pedal, and whether it was like for your little cajon setup you may do.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of them that you could have with your acoustic settings.
I need somebody to hook me up with this. So if I don't have an Amazon wish list or something, but one of our rum reviewers, Alex from the Rum Barrel, had sent me a link, and it was a pedal or I don't know, an effects thing that you put liquid in it, and the sound goes through this liquid to make the sound waves change.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before,
Now,
actually.
I'll have to post this link because it's also, it's like $100-something pedal, and I think it's like in the UK, wherever the link was. And so obviously the darker the liquid or alcohol or whatever it is, it produces a different sound. So
That's
anyway, yes.
So straight.
Yeah.
Effects pedals for drummers.
So yeah, so
Water.
Okay, so
Just add
yes,
water,
yeah,
guys.
so anyone who's listening, you can send it to any one of our wish lists. Okay.
Yeah, send it
it'll
to
work
me.
out.
I'm quite happy to test it out for you. I'll be your guinea pig. I'll set up my whole kit, buy a whole set of drum mics, put some water in the pedal, and let's go. We're doing this.
It's a good place to store your booze when you're like, hey.
You know what? Instead of water, maybe we put rum in.
There we go.
There you go.
Like where we're going. So
Full circle.
Yeah. So speaking of rum here, so again we are sharing, sampling our El Dorado 12-year rum here. So this was a rum that we had the last podcast was reviewed by Jami over at Ready Set Rum. So thank you, Jami, for giving us the rum review.
Yes.
And it's definitely El Dorado. So I asked him, I said, all right, so give me some guidance here. What do we want to do? How do we want to drink it? And it was either neat or on the rocks or even as an old fashioned. So I think maybe we could try it a little old fashioned also.
Yeah.
So I think
It's a Guyanese rum, right? As I understand
Yes,
it.
it is.
Which is pretty
There.
close to
That's-
Trinidad brands. Although, I mean, some of my ancestors might be turning over in their grave right now, but it's fine.
Heard that. Oh, Lord.
uh-oh.
No,
That's
it's
it.
good. It's actually really good. I really like it. Rum that I grew up around, I haven't had much of, but I grew up around, is called White Oak. I don't know if you've ever
White
heard of it.
oak, Okay.
But it's supposed to,
Paul's making notes
I don't
now.
really
straight away.
think it's like a sipper and like you're gonna enjoy like the drink of this more so than you might just like not remember last night tomorrow.
Oh,
But it's there and it's what we drink, and I'm pretty sure it's made in Trinidad, and it's what I remember from being a little girl up until now is everybody drinks this rum.
so that you enjoyed that when you're in Trinidad?
I do. Do I remember things? 75%. But that's part of being an islander. Is that's like when you go back to Trinidad, they're like, okay, good.
Right.
If you don't remember much, you did good. You did good.
So coming back to that. So do you have any influence on your drumming of that style that you talked about growing up listening to?
I would say yeah, like a little bit. Especially I'm noticing it a lot, believe it or not, in Lefty Loosey, which is the band that I most recently am in. A bunch of local musicians as well. But we do a lot of like reggae, ska-y, like late 90s into early 2000s, those kind of jams. So everything's very like laid back and like you want to kind of be sipping on a glass of rum and just chilling and listening to us. And so a lot of the times when I'm playing, I find myself like digging back to like those roots of like, okay, what did I grow up listening to? Because the thing with playing reggae and with songs like that is you're playing essentially the same feel
Right.
for 3 hours. So if I'm playing reggae, I'm playing reggae for 3 hours. So I have to find a way as a drummer to mix it up, because otherwise I'm just going to sound like I'm playing the same song for 3 hours.
Right.
So that's kind of where that comes in. So I'm like, okay, now we'll think about what you grew up listening to. Okay, I grew up listening to Calypso. Let me put in this little Calypso fill here, or like do this little beat here, So it's been nice, but it's interesting that you asked me that, because this is the band that I have played with that I'm finding myself thinking about that kind of stuff the most.
Right. And that's something that, of course, when we draw on our influences as drummers or musicians, we'll just stick to drummers, is we go to where we've had our most influences, or because I think when I was reading that you'd said you were very open to different types of music, right? Funk and rock and
yeah.
And again, sometimes I'll find myself just stuck in a here's one. I know I'm probably showing my age here. I know. I think I'm sure you know who this is, but Brad knows it, I think too. So it was a
He's here with the old fashions ready to go.
Look at that, man. He does it all.
It's like he's used to the cocktails.
Yes, and
It's
maybe we'll do some jams too.
Maybe we'll do some
Jams and cocktails.
But yeah, no, yeah, it's been interesting. Definitely a fun time listening to, and also trying to recreate like beats that I grew up listening to. When if you think about it, I was really young, so I'm talking about things that I remember when I was like 11 and under.
Right.
And of course I listen to Trinidadian music still, and I am around my family still, and all of that. But really, the influence it had on me was when I was living there, and that kind of impact. So. It's been interesting.
That's pretty cool. Like I said, you can bring some of that in there and change it up because, I'm sure there's not very many bands that are locally here that are got drummers that are women or a woman.
It's
from Trinidad. From again, tell me how many other drummers that are really out. I mean, you guys tell me, right? And
no, I don't. I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
there's
I know.
There's a few. I
know maybe 2 or 3 drummers around town that are women, but for the most part, I don't see them really playing a lot often. And when they are, they're playing their own shows and touring, which is great. But that's the other thing is like they're always doing something more because I don't know, for whatever reason, which. In this moment, it works out of my favor.
Yeah.
But in this industry, when you're a woman, especially when you're a drummer, you get more work, and it's a little bit sad because sometimes you'll get work over a guy that's like better than you, but because you're a female and like I have the hair and I have like the whole look and everything, I'll just get the job, you know. And like, I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody or anything. I'm just saying it's just an aesthetic. People love the fact that like they have a female drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they love to like do that. But I mean,
I'd
like to think that people think that I'm good just because I'm a good drummer, not because I'm a good female drummer. But here we are.
Right. And yeah, I can see that. Well, to as much as I can, of not being a female.
right. No, yeah. You can understand where I'm coming from.
Right. Yeah. So, and just before I forget, I did want to mention, and maybe you know this or not, is you talked about being able to read charts and things. Is something called air gigs. So air gigs is where people post up. It's like, hey, I'm looking for a drummer to put, here's my music, and I need somebody to play drums or bass or harmonica or whatever the case may be. So a lot of it on that website, you can. There's some pretty big names that post out there that like maybe for $120 an hour. That hey, you can get a guy.
She's writing it down as you
there you go.
speak.
Here's some notes, dropping more. And I went to Nashville a couple of years ago, and again, I know those of you that listen to the podcast, you're probably sick and tired of hearing me talk about it. I went to a drum workshop with Jim Riley. He's the drummer for Rascal Flatts, and he has it's called the Drum Dojo, and it's basically a weekend at his house on all the 6 different drum kits in his drum studio. That's and amazing. You're doing like focus lessons with other people, and he does air gigs. So again, if you're a musician that you're looking for a drummer, and Jim Riley's on there. So for whatever
also, if you're a musician looking for a drummer, I'm available for
there you
go. Sorry, no, that's cool. That's really awesome. I really like outlets like that, and I think that's one of the best things about right now. Yeah, you make a little money, and even songwriters. I mean, there's so many websites you can go on right now. Some of the most famous songs for like New Orleans bands, I know the guy that wrote them, and like but he doesn't know he does, and he signs them off, and it's legal and everything's fine. But it's like it's not their song, it's his song, and I know, but it's crazy how well you can do with doing things like that. Yeah.
And there's and again, kind of look forward to as we're building, reaching out, and the guest for this month podcast is connected with again, hopefully I don't I'm trying to be very good about mindful of using the proper pronouns and nouns.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so there's a female drummer that connected with over on Instagram, and she's in Singapore. And so she's going to be coming up here, not this month, but coming up because they got a release coming out that they've put together. So it's cool. It's totally cool, connecting with people, talking with people, and connecting other people. Brad and I talked a little bit about a couple of guests that we've had or we've talked with on our podcast, and those guests actually connected. And
this is like a crazy time to live in as far as like connecting goes and just like networking goes, because apart from COVID, but how I became Jazz's drummer, which is like pretty much my key band as a drummer.
Right.
Is Katie and I, as the Little Things, went to this festival in Edinburgh, and we were playing there, and she was there doing her acoustic show.
I love how she says that because she knows how to say it the right way.
Well, I've been going there for years,
Well,
so I better.
but
they would all come for me. I have so many friends from there,
but-
so be proud, guys.
But Shanece, maybe she hasn't stalked my Facebook page probably enough to find the pictures of me in the kilt. So,
Oh, I haven't. You have pictures of you in a kilt.
Well,
this is where Brad like pulled it up on the thing.
If I was more prepared.
no, yeah, I'm a first generation American. Both my parents came from Scotland.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So we usually spend our summers in Edinburgh. Like literally, this is the only year in 5 years that we haven't gone because of COVID. Well, last year. But regardless, I met Jazz there, and she was playing her acoustic show, and she goes, "Oh, do you want to be my drummer?" And I'm like, do you want to hear me play drums? Do you want to should I send you a link? Like before you ask me, do you want to see what I can do? And she's like, well, I mean, you have really cool hair, so that's really what. And I'm like, Jazz, come on, girl. But luckily for her, it worked out. It was good, and it was just the type of music I wanted to be playing at the time. But I mean, how we met her was, again, we went on a whim. We were living in New Orleans in this apartment, and we spent the last I think it was like $380 we had in our bank account. After that, we were broke. We spent that on a one-way ticket to Edinburgh. We're like, let's just do this.
Wow.
I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if we'll even make enough money to get a ticket back. But let's just do it. I mean, we're here and we're having fun and everything's great, but we have to do something else, right? We have to make the jump. So we do this. We buy this ticket. We go there. And, man, it just changed our lives forever. That was the one thing that I did. Outside of just moving to New Orleans, that was the other thing that really, and then we met Jazz, did the New Zealand tour, did the Europe tour, we did it all with her. So it was crazy. And we opened for her as Little Things too. So it was a really good connection to make. And also Jazz, again, is family, is that New Orleans thing we were talking about, So not only did we make this great connection, but we met one of our best friends. So it was definitely, kind of okay, we're going to take this plunge and see what happens. And it totally worked out in our favor, so here we are.
So
in
let's,
Port St. Lucie, Florida.
yeah. So let's maybe let's talk a little bit more about Jazz and the Little Things and the band there. Do you want to throw down some beats here? Let's get on the drum kits here. Again, it'd only be proper, right?
Well, yeah, I can. I'm happy to keep playing.
Yes, and I appreciate it, Brad, here for making us this little cocktail here. So, our just add El Dorado to the
to the standard. I want to say Manhattan, but that's not what it is.
You sound so old-fashioned.
There it is.
Oh,
no drum pun intended.
I know, right? So Shanece, that's what when Brad had me on his show here, we talked about. Brad needs a live studio band.
He does.
Yeah, kind of maybe a little bit like Saturday Night Live or something like that.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he totally does. Listen, I'm happy to be the drummer for you. I'm up for hire.
Heard that.
So anyway, all right. Well, let's see.
my gosh, well, we're going to spin it on around back to old Brad here. While they get sorted out and come off of their drum sets. Amazing, man. I love percussion, and I think it's so cool when two drummers get together. And it's so often, like, I see these dual drummers, like, sorted out on the stage and doing their thing with a band. And I was like, who needs two drummers? But then to see that and how drummers can actually feed off of one another is really impressive.
For like 1 minute, the Bayou Saints, the guitarist had another funk band. He asked me to be the drummer for that band, and we had another drummer with us. And it was like it was so fun to just play with another. It was usually you're used to playing with a percussionist, as a kid,
Right.
But it was like a full other drummer, so we had two kits on stage, and that was like really, really fun with the whole band. It was just like a massive funk band in New Orleans.
So great topic to talk about. So. Right, it's you've got to be two drummers. I mean, percussion and drummer.
Yeah.
But two drummers, two drum kits. The level of timing, or everyone's playing to a click. Right.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing is we were playing to a
Right.
click, and we were playing to tracks, and so like, especially on stage where not everybody has in-ear monitors.
Right.
You're really like zoned in because everybody trying to figure it out and like listening to the same monitor on stage. And as two drummers up there, you're like, what can I hear? What am I not hearing? What is actually what I'm hearing? Like, you know. So
Right.
it was definitely challenging, but it was a good test in like listening and using my
Right.
ears and not really getting lost in like, I'm a drummer, look at me do all these flashy, crazy things,
Right. So Brad, does that kind of, for a guitar player, it doesn't have that same ring having two guitar players on the stage, right?
Well, they used
Well,
to,
come
but
on. I mean, I feel like Leonard Skinner had 7 guitar
Yeah, I was gonna
players.
say.
Well, two drummers too, right?
Well,
They
used to having like 6 million guitars up on there. That's all I'm saying. Guitars are used to each other. They're almost like in battle with each other. You like see them on stage and be like, oh yeah, okay, well I'm coming with this solo. And
Well,
they're like, okay.
I think like you have the ability with notes,
Right.
in terms of melody, to be able to harmonize with one another, vocal like a choir. So if you had 7 guitars on stage, 7 guitars could choir together. With drums, you're really talking about tones,
Yeah.
and rhythms, and I feel like at some point it becomes limited, but I could be completely wrong because I'm just a guitar player living in a drummer's world right now. In a drummers and rummers world.
Oh, hey, you're a
Hey, there you
drummer.
go.
You're a drummer very foxy. But no,
That's
it
right.
is the same as the guitarist world, though. I mean, when I did that gig with the 2 kits, I purposely played my smaller kit because the guy that I was playing next to had a big, he was a key drummer. So I wasn't going to try to go up against him. So I was thinking
Was he showing you the size of his drummers?
oh, God, I can't.
But boom.
Yeah, anyway. Y'all,
Anyway,
I find it funny that we're on a Drums and Rums podcast and we don't have a joke. You know what?
Oh,
You guys are cracking a lot of jokes, so
I know.
I'm going to
So
set one up.
all right.
I'm a
he's
joker.
gonna-
I'm
I'm going to set one up.
are you a midnight toker?
I am a everyday toker.
Okay.
But this toker has to use the bathroom because she has a bladder of a small child, so she'll be right back.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So, all right. So there we go.
There it
Hey. So, all right.
Well, let's
So-
do some shameless plugs, Paul.
Yeah,
While she's
okay.
taking a little break.
Yeah, let's go through. So, hey all, let's go ahead and make sure we'll go through first and talk about. Check us out on our Facebook page here, YouTube, or wherever you're watching this stream, as well as our podcast that's available on all the major locations there. You can go to the Drums and Rums website there, and we do have the podcast player embedded in the website. So if anything, you can go to the Drums and Rums page right there on the home page. I do actually probably need to get some sprucing up of the web page there because I think I need to bring it up to the level here. I think after a year. So
Do you need some help? Do you need some website help, Paul?
I know. Do you know anybody?
I know a guy.
You know a guy.
I know a guy.
But I bet you that guy is actually super friggin' busy with a lot of other things.
I mean, busy is as busy does. I suppose.
Hey, you know what? I mean, what I've learned, and I don't know if I say that I've learned this more recently, but everyone should make sure that they have many irons in the fire. If we've learned anything from last year, is you cannot be riding that one wave in or whatever. You've got to be able to, because when shit can just, the rug will be pulled out from underneath you, and you got to be able to. So I know you're.
Well, it's an incredible opportunity. I mean, or it was.
Right.
I don't know if the ship has sailed yet. Mm-hmm. I know, like, it for me, it was a great opportunity to learn new skills, to develop skills that were still important to what I do for a living, but expanded it, in terms of like graphic design, marketing, things like that. When we were all just kind of chilling at home and doing our part, like the internet was still active. YouTube was still there. All these tutorials and masterclass, and it was all still available for us to go and learn these incredible skills. And I dabbled, I've been working with Photoshop and Adobe products for 25 years. Not to date myself, but I have been.
You've got mail.
Yeah, exactly.
He certainly does.
Yeah. So I got mail from the 1990s. Anyway. But yeah, so I, was able to learn new things because I had the time available to me to hone those skills and get a little bit better at using them. And so, here I am now getting ready to hit the ground running again with a whole new skill set that I'm super stoked about. So I think it was if you used your time appropriately,
and it's so crazy because Katie and I were talking this week about, like, do you remember when you had to, like, order your Netflix? Like, I mean, you guys remember that when you had to, like, if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to order the DVD from Netflix?
I remember I got fined for not sending back my Family Guy season 5 DVD back. Just so
they would hit you with those fines too. I mean, you'd be paying for that, Whereas
really they just charge you for the disc.
Yeah, but
which
still,
was pretty cool. I was like, I'll just pay for that.
It's crazy though. I was talking to some other musician about this, but just the fact that like right now, especially with COVID and everything going on, like you have to kind of like hone in your other skills. Like, you have to kind of think online and social media and how can I do this without having to be in a public place and, like, contaminate people or possibly get contaminated or whatever, And so a lot of what we're doing right now, too, is exactly focusing on, like, recording and, like, doing, like, music videos and more things like that online versus, like, I would say I'm putting so much of my focus musically online than I am live.
Sure.
Because I don't know how long the live will be for, and like I will work live as long as I feel safe doing it. But you don't know.
So that's a good part there because listening to if you haven't again not like I need to plug Howard Stern's show, but definitely checking out the interview they did.
I'm just kidding, Howard. I love you. Don't hate me.
He did it.
You prompted me to pull up my soundboard, and here it is now.
I like it. I like it. Bring the soundboard back. We want the soundboard.
And to talk about that some may say my bromance with Brad. Again, I it was interesting. Again, I was referred to as my podcast mentor here. He's helped me a lot and given me a lot of good feedback, obviously helping me out here with this show. So thank you again. I think back to what Shanece said, right? It's a family thing. We all help each other out. Again, we're talking about connecting people with others, and
I mean that's exactly
and looking
what it
out
is
for
right
others
now.
or referring others to other things, and others and others and others. Yeah, how many times can I use others?
It's what it is right now. I mean, we all have to look out for each other.
Right.
We're all in the same industry, and it's all gonna die if we don't all look out for each other.
Yes.
So that's the basic, most important thing. Is like if you see somebody in the industry that you feel is struggling and maybe should have more plays or likes or something, like come do a duo live with me. Come do a podcast with me. Come do something like let me help you out because that's all that we have right now.
Right. And yeah, because we've definitely right. Last year has been an interesting year, and so anyway, so the Howard Stern reference was they had a Foo Fighters on, right?
Yes,
Howard
yes,
loves
yes,
the
yes.
Foo Fighters, right?
Yes.
And he's talked about how the shoot. Now I'm drawing a blank on the song. Anyway,
Is
one
the
of
rum talking
yes,
or not talking?
it's one of the songs that they had. Everlong. I think it might have been Everlong that he done acoustically, and it became on his show. He did the acoustic version of Everlong,
Yeah, it would make sense.
and
It's
it blew
pretty-
up because it was like that had never been done before, and it become everybody loves that acoustic version that he did. Dave Grohl did, right? Anyway, Dave Grohl's awesome, right? And back
Yeah,
to our reference
great.
to the New Orleans stuff.
Yeah.
So Dave was talking about last year how he was so against this whole live stream thing, the thing. And you're like, no, because it just
Yeah.
because the energy, right?
Well, when you can have the shows out, of course we want the shows
Right.
out. You
But it
know?
was like one of those, oh, we'll get there. And I think he admitted, he goes, yeah, after 7 months or whatever it was, he said, okay, we got to do this thing because now everyone's been itching about how long is this going to last?
right. And the
for,
thing
right?
is,
Especially at that level, right? Because
Right.
there's a difference between, right, locally and nationally.
exactly. And the thing is, I don't know about you guys, but you know what we've all been doing in quarantine is art, watching movies, listening to music, you know, things like that. Things that artists have been working on
Yeah.
years and years to get to people. Now all these people are so into that because that's all they can do. What else can we do, you know?
Right.
So, and especially like we're fortunate down here to have Florida where it's not really that bad and we can still go out and we can go to the beaches and do things like that. But I have friends in cities, I mean in London, who like haven't left their apartment in weeks. So in months, you know, some of them. So like it's crazy the amount, like the effect that going live has on people because that's like their only source of anything real that they know.
Right. You see that live button come up on your favorite person.
And you know,
and
you're
it's
almost getting like
oh,
a free
yeah.
concert too with some of your favorite artists because you're like, this is the only thing that's keeping me going. You know what I mean? And so at some point, I understand his point with, you know, pre-COVID times and like, obviously I would much prefer a live show too.
Sure,
like here we
sure.
are. But, you know, when you're here and you're suffering and you need the music,
Right.
you know, like it's not a bad way to go. And I have a lot of musician friends who are very against going live too, actually. And on a level like my level, not so much famous like that.
Right.
But, and you know, I was like, I could never understand because like, but don't be ashamed of it because it's what we have to do right now.
Right.
You know,
It-
part of last year for us was like we didn't have a gig for 4 months or
Right.
5 months or something, and we only did live.
Right.
And that's why we were able to sustain our livelihood. And I mean, those people don't even know like how thankful we can ever be for them because that's how we paid our rent and how we ate and
Yep.
how we paid our like car payment and things like that. you know?
There's a lot in that industry and I think Brad, you've in one of your episodes you may have talked about it was there's a whole ecosystem around all this, right? Especially for musicians, because it's not just the musicians that maybe that's their full thing.
Yeah.
It's the bartenders. It's the this and this and this.
Dude,
and
yeah.
again, without music, you
Service
don't-
industry.
right, yeah,
any
right.
person in the service industry.
And, and again, I hate to look at it from again, you know, as an individual, you've got to look at and shift to whatever's more, you know, what you protect, you know, for your self-interest, you know, kind of put it that way, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
is-
every man for himself at some
Right,
point. you know?
right. So you may have to realize that, yeah, people aren't going out to see live music, aren't buying alcohol, tipping bartenders, etc. But we all know is we're buying alcohol online. So props to Drizzly. Check out Brad's Drizzly link there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, you know, our fine El Dorado rum was delivered to us via Drizzly app. So make sure you let me know if you get your cut.
You know, so if we're taking a second to talk about it, as soon as you told me, I went and looked, and it shows up
Okay.
that you purchased. I don't know if it's processed fully yet, so I don't know if I'm even getting a cut. It's all like Egyptian hieroglyphics to me.
Oh my
Are you,
God.
are you getting paid in Bitcoin or something new?
I don't
Hey,
know.
listen, don't dog it, all right?
yeah.
It's all worth all the money these
At this
days.
rate, I'll take it. But I did see that you ordered through the link, and I think that's super cool, man.
Yeah.
But to go back to the point that you were making about it being symbiotic,
Right.
We're all connected.
Yeah.
Especially, and I guess this is more so for service industry because I feel like musicians on this level are service people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we are on par with your servers, bartenders, restaurant managers.
Right.
You know, we are all engaged to create an experience for you to come and have. So we work together in
Yeah.
symbiosis, you know, to make it
Man.
happen. So if my bartender's not happy, that's something that needs to be rectified.
Yeah.
If the servers are not happy, then I want to facilitate them to make their money, because if it's all good, then people have a great
Everybody
experience.
benefits.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's not just like on the musician or the bartenders or the manager. It's on everybody.
Everybody.
It's like when you're in a band and you're playing that song. If I'm a drummer in that band and I'm just trying to be flashy and show myself and not hold down that pocket, it's not going to be enjoyable. You have everybody in the band working together, like listening to each other, kind of figuring out the nuances together, you know, and that's when you have a good product. So that's the biggest thing here is like, even in New Orleans, all the major cities I've lived in, service industry nights at bars, discounts and stuff, were always extended to musicians because it's we all work in the same industry. We all do the same thing.
So, Brad, I just had a thought there, and unfortunately, it was maybe we should have thought of that sooner. But we're going to tie back into Drizzly or however people buy their alcohol now when they deliver it, right? So, you know, people say, hey, I don't leave my house anymore. Publix brings my groceries. Somebody brings my alcohol to my house. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to ever leave. We need to tie in with Drizzly to bring the musicians with the alcohol.
If you order booze, you get like a little, maybe a 3 minute
Booze and bread.
a little 3 minute concert outside, so you could like pop a top and have a little song.
Or that's it. That's the Drizzly people should be musicians.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Well, let's work on that now, right there.
Well, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you hear that,
You
people.
sent
Yes.
the El Dorado to the lounge here.
Yep.
And
Does it have to
In
stay?
good faith that you wouldn't drink
in
it
good
first.
faith.
Oh yeah, right.
I did send him a lovely selfie with it.
Yes, and I got posted to Instagram.
But yeah, I mean, the guy that came was like, first of all, you guys can see me. Those that are listening or watching on YouTube, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, I'm quite gray in the beard section, but
He's living his best pandemic life. You know?
I'm living. I have this wonderful twisted mustache. It's all gray, all shades of gray. And this lovely man came to my door, which I answered, and he asked me for my ID.
I think he was hitting on you.
Yeah, he was trying to get somewhere
Yeah.
with you, Brad. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, you should have given him the time of day.
Right.
Flattered. I did.
Is he,
I
is he
did.
is he a bear or a cub?
Oh, well, I think Brad's definitely a bear.
There
So
goes the
I
story.
mean, if we're getting into another story,
That's for a different time, different podcast, guys.
maybe perhaps,
after hours.
My face hurts.
but I know what I am. So you get out of here. But yeah, he asked me for my ID, and I was quite flattered. I thought I think it was just because he needed to scan it so that it sent a positive
Right.
thing to his people, but still flattering.
Well, listen,
Nonetheless.
if anybody ever hits on me ever, I don't care who you are or what you identify as, I will always be flattered.
Oh yeah, same.
Same.
Because
Because Shanice is only like, what, 19?
So they say. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Did we not just have this
We
conversation
did.
moments
We
ago?
literally did. And
I was
Brad
like-
was like, "Oh my God, you're what?"
I know. I was like, Shanice, aren't you?
Listen, I'm a lady, but
Yeah.
I will not say my age over the radio. But you can talk to me
And
later.
I would never dime you out. I would never
Thank
dime
you.
you
I
out.
appreciate you very much. We can chat later, Paul.
Old enough.
But she's a lot younger than you think she's a lot younger than you think she is.
Brad,
Old
you're
enough to
digging
drink
yourself a
and-
hole here.
yeah.
You're digging yourself a hole here, man.
Yeah.
You're really shoveling it up in there.
This podcast, Shanice is hanging out with two creepy old guys.
Yeah, for real.
Thank goodness the final product of this will be edited.
If anybody
super.
wants to know, Brad's bathroom soap smells delicious.
Yes.
There, I'll give you some kudos. I'll give you some kudos. Or should I say Jordan? I should probably say Jordan.
Probably Jordan.
It's probably Jordan. Brad has nothing to do with this.
I'm the one that folds the toilet paper into beautiful little triangles.
I thought about that when I use about you. I do like the nuances.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, no.
JNC Lounge. We fold our toilet paper in 2 squares just for you.
Tiny little squares.
Was that from all the years on the cruise ship?
It absolutely was.
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
You ask anybody that knows me, and they know that I've been folding toilet paper in everyone's house. I'll go and visit somebody's house, and I'll be using the restroom.
Hey, Brad, you want to come over later?
And fold your toilet paper?
Yeah,
I would
that's
love
it.
to.
But I'll say while you're at it, if you want to clean the bathroom, that's okay too. Just joking.
Listen.
Maybe that.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Listen, consider yourself threatened.
Brad has a new occupation of a gigolo
Bathroom cleaner.
chores person. Say, hey, would you like your clothes folded?
Jordan's my pimp, so you got to talk to her.
Oh, man,
you
she
got to set it up
totally
to
is.
her.
That's totally right, Jordan. If you're out there in the world listening to this, I'm coming for you.
So, all right. Anyway, enough about Brad.
Enough about
his
Brad.
folding skills.
Enough about me.
So back to we're talking about jazz, right?
Yes, jazz. Yes.
And so the band there is so she hit you up in Edinburgh.
Yeah, so she hit me up in Edinburgh and she goes, "You want to be my drummer?" And I'm like, "Of course, yes, I want to be a drummer."
Yep.
You know, like, no, I don't want to come to your home island of of New Zealand and tour with
The other
you.
New Jersey.
See, this is where the rum is kicking in now. See, it's
Yep.
spinning. But anyway, no, yeah. So she invited us to come do a tour with her in New Zealand. So naturally
Wow.
we did. And it worked out for us well because as a duo, I played drums and Katie played keys for that tour. And then we would open for her as the Little Things duo. So it kind of worked out really well. And so we went out over there and we ended up doing a 2.5-month tour with jazz in New Zealand through both islands. So, I mean, when I say that we have seen New Zealand and we have visited New Zealand, we have seen New Zealand and we have, I mean, in a tour van, drove up and down, sideways, you know, back and forth, both islands, playing, you know, every gig that we could have possibly gotten. And if we couldn't get a gig in the town, at least we visited and, like, did something cool. So, like, we really, really got to see New Zealand, which was amazing. One of the best times in my life. I mean, at that point in my life, I would have said to you, I've probably visited 10 countries in the past 2 years. And,
Wow.
like, New Zealand was number one on top and is still probably my
So
favorite place I've ever been to.
so where is so I guess and just learning about right the band there is jazz, you know, so she's full international.
Yeah, so I was telling you a little bit about this earlier, but she does she works on super yachts a lot when she's not musicking. She does super yachts, and she's incredible and amazing and travels the world, and she's honestly like my goal as far as like wanting to do anything. But she lives in Christchurch, and then so we flew into Christchurch and we hung out there, we practiced there in her like parents', you know. And I mean, these houses, you're like, I'm gonna stay at my friend's parents' house for 10 days and practice music, and then we're gonna go on tour. And you're like, great, it's whatever house, like, you know, we're in a Florida house. I mean, this house is like on the side of this like huge hill, like built up on the hill. I don't even know how to explain it. It's
I don't
like,
even
it's
want to
almost
leave.
like, yeah, it's like a tree house. It's first of all, you're like, you feel like you're living in like perma, like you're a kid and you're like living in a tree house. And then you look out the window and across from you, you're seeing this like gorgeous, bluer than any blue water you have ever seen in Florida lake. You know, and so we'd have these practices, we'd have dinner, and then we'd go for walks around this lake. And it was like, you know, the most, even in that like 10-day span of being there and rehearsing, it was still the most amazing experience I'd ever done in my life. And we hadn't even gotten to the tour yet. You know, we haven't even gotten in the van and gone anywhere or even done anything.
I love my life. Let's just stop
you know?
here.
So, you know, it was incredible. It was amazing. And, you know, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. And then after that, we do that tour. Well, first, before we even did that tour, Jazz flew to Florida. We were living in Miami at the time. We were back and forth between Miami and Key Largo. And she flew to Miami and said, okay, I'm going to come down. You guys stay there. We'll do a promo thing in the studio, which is what I sent you, was that promo stuff in the studio.
Right.
And then once we do that, I'll book the tour. So she flew from wherever the hell she was in the world, honestly. She flew. I think she was in either like Hong Kong or China at the time, but she flew. and she stayed with us for about 2 weeks or maybe a week, and we shot the promo stuff in the studio, and we shot her music video for Lie to Yourself, and then she went home, and then had a tour booked with that. She flew here to do that, but with that, and maybe about 3 months we had the tour booked, and then we were there. And then we went to Edinburgh like we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Edinburgh, now our favorite thing to do is we'd go to Edinburgh in August or maybe late July, spend all of July and August into there.
During the tattoo?
Yeah, basically, right during the tattoo. And then at the end of that, we would go to Europe. We'd hop over to like Germany, the Netherlands, and we'd do, I don't know if you've seen my Instagram, but we did like a cool shot of we were playing like Uprising, but that was in Germany. We did a European tour after that. So we'd go to Edinburgh, do one show as Jazz Jocelyn, the band there, do our solo acoustic things, and then we'd do a European tour as Jazz Jocelyn and the band. And that was really awesome. And that was like what we did basically for years after we did that New Zealand tour, and then COVID happened. But
I just listening to you, Shanece, it's like we were talking earlier about people younger than us, and
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm one of those people right now. I feel ashamed.
The straw sound effect.
No, I'm honestly though it's really cool. I do feel really lucky. I did put in the work, and we did.
You've done a lot in your short. And there's again.
But it's
so
like
much
when
more,
this is what
right?
you're meant
Yeah.
to be, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And for me, this is what I'm meant to be. I'm meant to play music. I don't really care how I do it. I could be a drummer. I could be a vocalist. I could be a guitarist. I could be a ukulele. I mean, you name it. You throw it at me, I will do it. As long as I'm doing something in music, that is what keeps me happy. My top of the line is
Right.
obviously to be a drummer. I would love to do that. That's what I would want to do all the time, every day, all day.
So there's a sound clip right there, Brad. You need to make sure you grab that.
Yeah, but
Yes.
outside
Every
of
day,
that,
all
Yes.
day, all day.
Yes.
I feel like
Sample it, sample it.
It's basically like a Kanye West song.
oh my God,
I'm gonna
stop it.
sample it. I'm gonna send it to Kanye,
that's right.
and I'm gonna
It's
let him
like
put it
it's like if
Shanice-
Kanye West and
Well,
Daft
hey.
Punk and Pharrell did like one song with one sample.
Well, yeah. Kanye,
every day, all day long, drumming all day.
Kanye's got a little bit more time, and he don't have to deal with the Kardashians anymore.
Well, he's got a little bit more money too. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
A little more money too,
Yes.
But no,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
For me, it's just music, man. It's
Yeah.
whatever I want, and if I can do it in music, I'm happy doing it in music. I don't care. I could be playing a triangle and like the most prestigious symphony, and I'd be fine with it.
That is awesome.
I just want to be playing music with somebody,
That's so the.
I don't want to do it solo. I will say that. I can't do it solo. Kudos to you, Brad, because I want to be doing it with somebody because I love celebrating that with somebody.
Heard that.
Yeah.
Sometimes Katie and I sing a song and I look over at her, I'm like, man, we just crushed that. And she's like, God damn, yeah, we did. And like, that is so nice,
So since she just ruled out that she likes not doing it solo.
Yeah.
That so I guess you've ruled out the one woman band.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
here we go. Here we go.
Here's the thing. If it were necessity, for whatever reason, if I just had to do it, I obviously would because I'm not going to work for like anybody ever. At this point, I'm spoiled. I have an attitude. I will talk back to you.
Oh.
I cannot survive in corporate America, guys. So if I had to, I would. But do I want to? I would prefer it the other way.
Yeah. And like you said, you earlier said it's the family. There's the energy with being with another person,
Right.
or multiple people. We're talking music here,
Or,
or are we?
y'all, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, all right.
So no,
yeah,
yes, you're correct.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
rather be playing music with people. I would rather have
Yeah.
that like shared energy and that shared joy with somebody at least,
Right.
And it doesn't always have to be somebody I knew. Even if I, the other day, Katie and I did a gig and we brought on a guitarist, and he was amazing and wonderful, and he's our friend's boyfriend actually, but I had no idea how good he was, and it's one of those things where like, yeah, we're going to do this. And I knew he was good. And we had him on. He came on and he just like blew our minds.
Right.
And it was just like, man, this is a great example of like playing with another musician and how you just never know what you're missing out on until you just do it. You go for it.
Brad, I think you need to add another thing to since you have so much time in your hands. I think we're gonna throw it down here. I'm gonna call it out here. We need the JNC Fest.
Ooh.
The JNC Fest.
There you go.
All right. I'm in.
So
I'm
there
in.
you go. So,
All taking place in your driveway. It's fine.
That would be better.
Yeah, it actually would be
because
great. No permits.
I wouldn't have to go very far.
No
and
permits.
it's
You can
not-
have it like a family barbecue style.
Yeah.
No liquor license. You're good
yeah.
to go.
so you have to just buy the cup. That's right. The red solo
there you
cup.
go. The red solo cup.
Don't
So-
threaten me with a good time.
So so you've toured. You're trying to come back here.
Yeah, sorry.
That's just awesome. Is I think, like I said, it wasn't so much the, in your short, time frame of have done a lot and travel a lot, but I think it's your approach, and I think that's what's very like, just listening to those that are in corporate America stuff, right? And that you're very, I'm not saying carefree, but you're very right. You driven to what you guys want,
Yes.
or you, or Katie, and so forth, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And especially as musicians,
I think it's so important. You have to be. If you're a musician and you really want to make it as a musician, you know what I mean? And you're not like focused on like, okay, am I gonna make it? You're more like, I'm going to make it.
Well, I think
What are the steps do I need to take to get there? Because in my mind, I'm like, even if I don't want to be a pop star, I never do. Oh my God, please let me just state that for the fucking record. Like, I don't want to like have people in my face. I want to be able to live a normal life still. I'm just at a point where I want my music to make me a good livelihood, so I can like do what I love and still have a good life, And I as long as I am doing what I'm doing right now, I feel like I've already made it.
right.
So anything past this is going to be like such a huge bonus for me, because right now I feel like, man, I get to live my life. I get to like pay my bills with what I do, play music for a living. Like, man, it doesn't get better than this right now. I don't have to be on a huge level. I'm happy doing what I'm doing at this moment. And if anything gets better than that for me, then great. But like, I'm happy right now,
So is that just something of how you were brought up, or again being kind of humble in that sense of?
I don't think it's how I'm brought up.
No?
I think really, well, to put it simply, how I was brought up was like, you're gonna go to medical school, and I did, and I was, and it didn't challenge me. I always felt, I don't even know what I'm like looking for here.
It wasn't your thing.
Not that it wasn't my thing, because I really enjoyed it, but for as long as I could remember, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I've been molded to do. And so when I got to it, without sounding like cocky about this, it didn't really challenge me, because I was new where I was going. Whereas music was like, I'm learning this whole new language. I'm learning like a whole new way how to communicate with people. I'm learning like something entirely different from anybody else. I mean, as musicians, the people in your lives who don't know how to play music, and they see it like this alien thing that you do that you have no idea. And here I am learning how to like, for all intents and purposes, decode this and like be good at it, even in my luck. So for me, music was always more challenging and more interesting for me to go into, because it was always something that I never expected, but I was happy to learn and happy to challenge myself with.
Right.
So
there, right there, Brad, is the no fear, right? Again, and
Yeah.
that's right. That's it. Because you said, I was just thinking there, we were talking about, all right, we just cashed in our $350 last that we have, one-way tickets to
you
to Scott.
have to,
and again, you don't know what's on the other end, and but you're putting yourself out there to say, this is what I want to do.
Well, it's first of all, it's not just me. It's Katie and I.
Right.
We both
Yep.
make those decisions,
Right.
but at the same time, you have to, because
Right.
if you want something, is anybody into anything in this whole entire life, if you're into drums or music or whatever, if you want something, nobody's gonna hand it to you. You have to go get it. So that's always been my thing, and like, sometimes I may feel down and I may feel like defeated, and I'm like, man, this is not working out. Like, I'm not getting gigs. This sucks. Blah, blah, blah. But I keep pushing through, because at the end of the day, you know what? I love doing what I do, and it is what it is. If I'm gonna not be working, then I'm not gonna be working, but I'm still gonna do what I love to do, because that's always been I can't not, because it just is not who I am.
That's That's awesome.
You know, and I think that Brad could relate to that as a musician too. You know.
Oh, sure. You know, like it's for the bold.
Yeah.
You know, by saying I'm gonna spend my last dime to go and chase this opportunity, like, what do you have to lose?
Because at this point, nothing. We're already broke. We're already musicians.
Yeah,
what are we gonna lose?
Already, you know, so somebody that has a very stable job in business finance, you know, is saying you're making a terrible decision. It's like, okay, well, you're not in business. You're not in the music industry. You don't know what it is to say, I'm going to make this investment and I'm going to go and take this chance.
Yeah. I mean, there were days, man. Now we're lucky enough to have like months booked out. But there were moments where when we were starting this, and I'm sure you can relate too, both of you, where, you know, next weekend was the farthest you had.
Right.
And you had to like be worried still over the next week. And now it's like
I'm pretty sure next weekend's the furthest I have.
Well, now, yeah. Now in these times,
the first of the month is the date I dread the most because
the rent's due.
Yeah, because
you know what?
Jordan's
I'm gonna shout her out because I love her the most because she is my babe and I'm drumming for her band currently here in South Florida. But Victoria Lee, man,
yeah,
I'm like, girl, teach me your ways. How do you do it? Yes, Victoria, girl, teach me your ways. Let me know because she is a babe and you need to get on her schedule, everybody, because I mean. She's posting on February like 25th. You know, here's my March schedule. Here's my 37 dates in March, and I'm like, what? Excuse me?
37 days,
ma'am. Can I help you? Would you like some of those days taken off your shoulders? Like, what do you need? You know, when you think you know you're doing good for yourself, and like, I love her, and I'm so happy for her, and that didn't mean anything else by that. I'm just saying, like, go her, man.
Yeah.
She slays it. Yeah,
right.
she's amazing.
Going for it.
She's amazing.
And she's a one-man, or I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, she is.
She's a one-woman band.
She's a one-woman band. She does her own thing.
And she kills it. My favorite things that if I can interject for a moment.
Please do.
Is when people comment on her videos asking if she's really playing guitar because she does the whole thing. She's got the drum pad and she loops her drums
and her
that
bass
she does,
guitar.
and she's got the bass bit.
I don't know if you've ever seen her,
and she
Paul, but
loops
she's
all these incredible things.
Yeah.
And so like what people don't understand that when she like goes to go do another thing that the guitar's still going and they're like,
well, I think they don't understand looping, you know, which is the thing we do
Sure.
in our show. One of the very first things we do if we're doing our loop show is like, hey, so just so you guys know, we're doing everything live, and what will happen is I'll hit the pedal and Kitty go, so we're looping everything live, blah, 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 and then I hit it again, and like, they can kind of see like how it's looping, so they kind of understand in that moment, like, oh, okay, that's how they're doing this. But man, you can understand when somebody like Victoria Lee is like, hey, you want to be my drummer? You have no really fucking choice but to say yes. you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of leverage.
Yes, ma'am, I will be your drummer. Also, I have this other instrumentalist over here. She's going to play with you. Like, let's go. So, you know, honestly, I had been pestering her for months since I moved back here. I saw her, and I saw Xander, and I saw a few people around town, and I'm like, man, these are people I would love to play drums with.
Right.
And I'm used to town, you know. I obviously went to high school here, but we've been gone for 6-7 years. I don't know, you know. And I'm like hitting her. I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, we booked through the same companies. Like, I love your sound. Like, can I come sit in with you for a show? I don't want to be a drummer, but like, let me sit in. And I'm doing that for like, you know, 6 months to a year for the better part of that. And then finally, I don't even know. Maybe she had an epiphany one day. I don't know. But finally, she messages me out of nowhere. Oh, hey, so are you serious about like that playing drums with me thing? Because I'm thinking about, and I was just like, yes. What do I do? How do I sign up? What do I do? Do I need to pay an admittance fee, like an application fee? What do I do? What do I do? You know?
We buy that ticket.
Yeah, you know, and within 2 weeks we were rehearsing with her and Jeff and all of us, and the next thing you know, we had the band, and I mean, it gelled so well. We gelled so well, so it just worked out really great. But, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, you stick it out because you know, like, this is what you want, which is what I was kind of doing. I wasn't, like, giving my drums to anybody else, and I was like, I kind of really want to play with her, so I'm waiting to see, you know, where she's at with it.
So, in there's it. That's in it. You, for the lack of a better word, and not put it in an offending way, is you were stalked her down to.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
yeah,
I am not
to-
offended. I definitely stalked her and was like, yo, let me play with you.
But again, you were relentless in that pursuit of saying, I want to be part of what you do. I think there's something, and you know,
Yeah.
again, together that there's something there, and yeah, I've been there, and you know, with certain things, and would have loved to pursue further, maybe, you know, whatever.
You know, without sounding cocky, really, it's every single band I've really, I mean, there are some that I didn't get to, for sure. But every single band that I've really ever wanted to, like, honestly play drums with, I have.
Right.
I really have. Even if it took a year of,
Right.
like, sitting and waiting and convincing them slowly or whatever, you know, I got to the point where I really want to do this. And I think more so, not so much like my skill set got me in, but more just like my dedication to
Right.
like, I really love your sound and I want to do this for you because I really want to like add to this for you. And I
Right.
know that I can because I love it so much that I can like be great for this, you know?
So one of the things here is talking through, and so I'll ask you this, and then kind of see where, you know. So what are some of the challenges as a female drummer musician you've experienced, and how do you overcome them? Because you know, I mean, here's what I'm thinking, Shanece, and again, and I think for very strong women that are, hey, they're very, you know, they are very confident in their abilities, their self, etc. Where, you know, maybe like you know, put up myself out there as like a guy like me, seeing you load your gear up, lugging your stuff. You know, again, that's part of the drummer's thing, right? But
Yeah,
then,
totally.
but trying to be also like, it's not a sense of, oh, hey, let me help you, little girl,
No,
you know,
I
whatever.
know.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's sometimes that, you know, I know for guys that are trying to be somewhat respectful, but
Yeah.
also helping, you know. But anyway, so
It
but,
is a fine
yeah, I mean,
line. It is
yeah.
a very fine line. Honestly, I would say something that's really coming to mind right now is when we were playing a show in Germany at this place called Das Greif. And it's actually one of my most recent Instagram videos that I posted on there. It was like that huge stage on there. But we were doing the sound check and we were loading in and everything. And everything is fine. We loaded in. And there was a band playing before us and they were younger and they were kind of doing like songs like Breaking the Law and, you know, like really intense, like Breaking the Law, you know. And honestly, not to sound mean, but that German, like, people want like this heavy rockin' thing is
Right.
like totally real.
Right.
And so we're doing the sound check and me and the drummer is sharing a kit. And so he's got his like cymbal set up because for him that's like important. For me, my drums are important. And this show for me, specifically with jazz, like is very like big tom heavy. So it's like big 80s drums, if you will. So like for me, my drums are more important and for him, his cymbals are more important. So I set up my drums. He set up his, you know, 50, 100 cymbals around me. And then I'm like, fine. And he's like, he must be like, I don't know, this is like 20-year-old kid, if that. And so we're doing this. He's just like, I don't even know. Not to sound mean, but he's just like patronizing me this. And I was like, well, yeah, well, I know you got this kit and this cymbal, but I'm using this cymbal. And it's this size. And let me tell you. And he's just like explaining everything to me down to the wire. And I'm like trying to communicate to him, like, yes, I understand. Like,
Mansplaining.
if you will. And honestly, I couldn't tell if it was like the language barrier or just like you're just mansplaining to me. So I was just trying to be like polite and like, you know, I guess I'm here. Let's do this. And he's just like going on and on and on about stuff. And so we do the sound check and everything's fine. And then we play the show and he's playing the show and you can barely hear him. And I'm in the sound booth while they're opening. They're opening for us. And I'm in the sound booth, and the guy's like, yeah, I don't know. I can't hear this guy's snare to save the life of me. He's like, and I'm watching him, like, turning up on his mixer, and it's, like, pretty much at, like, max volume. And the snare's there, but you can't really hear it, and everything's kind of quiet. And then I went on, and I came off the stage at the end, and that guy was like, man, you were, like, at, like, volume 2. Like, out of 10, you were, like, at 2. Because you were playing so hard and it was so different from that opening band for you that I was just like, she's going to break those drums. And I wasn't doing it to prove a point or anything. It's just how I was playing. But I was just like, man, it is, and that was a moment for me where I was just like, okay, all right, I see where I'm at with this. But before you do tours and before you do shows where someone else is doing sound for you and you're not just doing your own sound with your own band,
Right.
you don't really notice those things, and then you do sound with people and they like comment on you like, and he was like, no, it's great. Like I'm so happy that you were like, I wanted you to break the snare, I wanted to come up there and I wanted to come up there and bring you a new snare because I wanted you to like break a snare drum, and it was really nice. I guess to answer your question, it was nice in that moment to be like, yeah, I am reigning right now over this like 19-year-old kid, and he was like a nice guy, but he spent the first hour and a half mansplaining a drum kit to me, and I was just like appeasing him because as a woman or a human or whoever you identify as, you learn to do that. But oh God, I was so happy. At the end when he told me that, I was just like the relief and the just like satisfaction of like, thank you for that.
And I think in the podcast you did here when you came back on with Lefty Loosey, right? And again, three girls and a guy.
Yeah, and Jeff's amazing.
Right, and there's a dynamic there, and it's and I think I may be paraphrasing poorly. Jeff is very comfortable in his.
No, Jeff's great, and he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. So he says it to us all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in like this like powerhouse like female thing right now, and like you guys just let me know what you need me to do.
And I think that's exactly what I wrote down here. Right. Currently, you drum for the local super group, Lefty Loosey, right? So
I'm pretty sure I coined that. I'm just
did
gonna throw it out there that I coined that.
He did.
Yeah,
Not that it's inaccurate in any way, but I coined it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's great, man. We were so happy and so lucky to do this. I'm so happy and so lucky to do this because Jeff is so amazing.
Yeah.
As a soloist around town, he's great. Victoria, of course, goes without being said, is a phenomenal.
Right.
And then you have us as the little things, and then you put all that together. I mean, people losing their mind. Every time I talk to people, we did the farmers market even. Yeah. We had a few people be like, oh, yeah, do you know Victoria Lee by chance? And we're like, oh, yeah, by the way, I've like played her band. And they were like, no way. I mean, literally their reactions are like, oh, my God, you play with her? That's crazy. Like, I want to come to that show. When is that show next? Because they see us all individually and they go, I mean, this must be good together, right?
Right.
and that is the first time I saw you guys actually perform. Right.
Was here, yeah.
Right. At the farmers market, and again, scheduling and again being admitting and being lazy here to travel up the way.
No,
but
I
again,
get it.
you were only the next exit up, more or less, except for the fact that I went east instead of driving off just west of the highway.
It's a time,
but it was seeing you guys play, and again, I read the event and it said no open toe shoes, and I showed up in fucking flip flops, and I'm like, what's up with all this wood and everything? And I'm jabbing my feet. And
now you know.
But I was like sitting there, and again, this is the video that I started shooting, right? And again, I think some of it was sitting there because of that, right by the highway, and then I moved closer to you guys. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this song. They are fucking covering a Muse song, and I'm like, that is. I'm like. Again, I think what you guys do in the little things is just there's something about it. Again, there's the package, the singing, the you playing, the songs you choose, the style you perform your covers in. I just totally love you guys.
It's kind of our like people see us and they're like, one of the first things, I swear, one of the first things we always get is, oh yeah, well I know Tiny Tim. And we're like, oh, well, this is not going to be anything like you expected. I'm sorry, sir. Like the thing that we do is we don't do the typical ukulele songs. We do whatever we want to hear,
So I guess, so I now know, Brad, since I've already been referenced on one of your shows about throwing songs out there to guests you've had on here, that I will now come up there and put in the tip bucket the request for a Tiny Tim song.
Well, while she's
going to have to hear the story because
pee.
I don't think she's heard the story actually and how I got totally called out on your show.
That's true. It's true. But it is funny, like Tiny Tim, complete legend. huge dude playing a very small instrument, and with the voice like tiptoeing through the tulips with me, you know, like it's. But I feel like he kind of put pop ukulele on the map.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And to me that's far out. And Little Things, they nail it, man, and they take pop ukulele to another level. And just because they're so close and their harmonies are so tight, and you know, she didn't tell you this yet, but she didn't play ukulele at all prior to moving to New Orleans. Did she say that? I might have missed it. But she didn't. And Katie was the one that encouraged her to get into playing ukulele. And that kind of formed there.
Props to Katie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, listen.
For Katie.
Yes, Katie, if you're out there listening, which I know you are. Props to you. No, I think, you know, the most important thing is just that we do music that we like to listen to. Right. That's always been our thing, you know. We're not going to sit here and do music that people expect us to do. We're just going to do, I mean, we do like Queen songs on ukulele, you know, like it's just who we are. It's what we want to do. And like, we just treat it like any other instrument. People treat ukulele sometimes like it's just a ukulele, and you can only do these ukulele songs on ukulele, you know?
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then and we never do that until someone requests it. If they do, there's a tip involved, and we will sing it for them. But like,
here's $100. Play Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yes, for all of our listeners out there, $100 is what that costs.
So did you hear when what I mentioned was on the previous podcast is one of their guests, Brad's guest was. I got called out because I had thrown some money down on the spot to play a certain song they had never played before, and we're not very happy about it. So, did you actually get the request?
No.
Wait,
what was the song? I want to know what the song was.
Wait, did you get the song request I sent to the app?
I did get it. I did get it. I think I even mentioned it. I think I brought it up. If I'm not mistaken, I do remember vocalizing when I saw it.
Did you vocalize this and did you sing the song?
I did not sing the song.
Okay, I was like, where are we at with this?
But I did see it. So on my music app,
yes,
I have a little section where you can request songs,
which is what I love about your show, by the way.
Nobody ever does it.
We actually really implemented that because of you recently, and it actually really works. Yes. And now people will like send us Venmos and with the song request in our Venmo, and that's amazing. So thank you for that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take all the.
Yes, you deserve it. You deserve all the credit.
It's so clever, right?
It's amazing and clever, and all you.
But yeah, I feel like I personally need to revamp the way that I do it because all I get is heckling from Paul.
So what we did was we put our song list on our website. We direct people there, and then they Venmo us from the website. Hey, here's whatever on Venmo. Play the song with our note, and that's how we do it.
So smart.
So you get that money with that request, baby boo.
So the story, Shanece, was
yes. Please tell me the story. I'm sorry.
after seeing our good friend Mr. Chris Springer perform at the Blue Point here in Tequesta.
Yes.
And we hung out.
Don't get it twisted. It's Tequesta.
It's Tequesta.
Yes, I know. Sorry, I know.
Which whoever's listening out there, hire us. Yes. We would like to play there as a little thing.
Really? Oh, well, we may know some people.
I might know a guy.
Yeah, I'd definitely be sitting in that pool all day long if you guys played.
I'll do it.
So we went to see Chris play. I can't believe
Chris Springer.
I can't believe I'm telling the story.
I want you to now.
So we went to see Chris play, and again, because we're right around the corner from Blue Point.
Right.
And he was on the earlier shift on a Sunday, and he was hanging out, and he's like, all right, well, I'll stick around, and the Little Things were sorry, the Leafy Greens, all these L bands, and the Leafy Greens were playing.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so we hung out, and we've been there for a while and so forth, and they get up there and start playing. It's like another great duo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, and I'd been, as I mentioned, been to Nashville, and I saw another performer there in one of the bands play. Not a super big country guy either, but she had done a Miranda Lambert song. I'm like, Tequila Does.
Okay. I'm not a big country fan either, but I do know that song. That's a great song.
To now, it's going to get interesting now. So I was like, this would be a great song for them to do, right? So Ellen would would have a great voice for Miranda Lambert. So after they finished, I think first set, second set, whatever, I went up there and threw money down on the stage, decent money, and a lot of money.
At least $4.
At least it was at least $4, more than $4, and of course now all my musician friends were like hating me because I threw money down on this band and compared to never hadn't thrown.
He's never lived it down.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
no, yeah.
yes, especially from the person we were hanging out with that day. So we threw on the song like, all right, here's the money. I want to hear you play this Miranda Lambert song, Tequila Does, and they're like, oh, okay, because now you can't back down from the request, right?
Right. You have to do it.
So
You
I
pay it, yeah.
totally give them major props. They took the entire break
And
to learn the song.
Oh, that's amazing.
So here they're pulling up the chords and all that. The crazy thing about it wasn't very straightforward. The song was, and during the verses, was a very swingy, waltzy kind of feel.
Right.
And then the choruses were all straight. So it was like a totally a change in the feel of the song.
Right. No, I'm completely.
Right.
If you're going from swing to straight, yeah.
You're right. So, trying to read the chords and going through, and so they start it, stop. Again, they're trying to learn on the fly, and again, they call it like the Nashville audition. That's what they call it, right?
Oh,
you get
gosh.
requested a song on the spot.
Is it cringy? I feel cringy.
Right.
Sorry.
So they went through, and they went through it, and I'd give them major props. They earned, and again, so then it came up in the conversation when they came on Brad's show. Brad brought it up, and man, I got lit up.
You know what?
About the
so
chorus.
like
It's because Paul popped into the comments while I'm interviewing these people
Oh,
and
goodness.
was like, hey,
Paul.
tell them to play Tequila Rose.
Don't do it, Paul.
And then I got fired up, and then
And then they said, Paul, well, the kicker was when Paul was a guest on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, we put everybody through the Lipton tea
Right.
interview,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And one of it is, what is your least favorite sound?
Oh,
And
God,
Paul
he did
said a
not.
drum, or Paul said a guitarist or guitar.
I want to wrap my neck around this chord.
And so we kind of mentioned it, and then of course we put them on the Lipton tea, and Billy was like, least favorite sound, drums.
Oh, God.
So it's like we developed this very cool rivalry.
Well,
But,
it's always good to have a rivalry, I guess.
Oh,
Here we
yeah.
are, right? We're living in
it's-
2021 and we hate each other. It's fine.
But it's such a sweet, you clearly compensated them
Oh.
for that request.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's
yeah.
wonderful. And they are a great duo. They're wonderful people. And obviously, Paul, you're
yeah.
great people too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard,
was so
especially as a
fun.
duo. I will say it's hard when you get a request, especially one that you
yeah.
don't know, but you feel like you can figure it out. Because, Katie and I get it here and there, and we'll do it. If it's a good enough tip, of course, we'll do it.
So
And-
maybe is Shanice throwing out a challenge? So Katie, you better listen here. Paul might be on the hunt. Paul might be on the prowl
Listen,
here. Prowl to
Katie
show
and
up.
Shanice is not scared. Come on down, Paul. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh.
We can get it going over here, But we do it, we look up the lyrics and we go, okay, well, we know it good enough.
Right.
We know the chorus good enough. We know the verse good enough. We just need the words, right?
Yep.
And then me, it's just, Katie will sing it usually. She's the lead vocalist, and I'll just, plug in my harmonies as I do. And, now we're, kind of, we're sharing the wealth a little bit with, lead vocals. But when we first started, it was mainly her because she was just so, I didn't know I could sing, so I was just kind of, trying to back her up, essentially. And now I'm, very much more, coming into, my singing voice and, my own individuality.
Right.
And so, it's if somebody requests something and we, I could sing or she could sing it, one of us will and the other one will harmonize. But the thing that's so nice about us is because, you've heard us. I was going to say, I don't know if you've heard us before, but you've heard us. So, it's something about Katie and I that we really understand for whatever reason. It's just that marriage,
Yeah, you guys are
vocally.
you're locked in. That's what we were saying earlier.
And so if
right?
we're doing something for the first time, even on the spot, it's so much easy, not easy, but it's nice that the other person can just like kind of fall in with their harmonies, and
Right.
it's like it works, and it's decent and
Yep.
it's good, and it might not be like our best performance, but it'll be really good,
Yep.
and it'll be good enough to get that tip that you just tipped me, So
Exactly.
So-
like that's all that really it takes these days. So
So
I'm pretty thankful for that, but yeah.
No, like I said, I totally, you threw me, and again, for not seeing you guys, live before, and to hear the Muse song, and was like that again. Who's covered Muse songs, let alone, right? And then to put it in that again, it's one of those, you got to be a fan, and that's always I love about covers is covers that are like slipped in a different kind of way, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
shit, I know that song.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's our whole show, man.
right.
You come see us for the whole 3 hours of it. It's the whole thing is just like, man, where do I know that song from?
So maybe, Brad, I can't be giving
Yeah.
them the sneak peek, and if I show up and ask for the same song, because then they already know, they'll be starting to practice it.
Yeah,
already,
no,
right?
you got to show up and just throw us off completely. You
Oh,
got to do
okay.
it. You got to give it to us like it is, and then we'll just go for it.
So after the podcast, right? So Brad had played down at the Square Grouper one night, and I saw the Leafy Greens there, and I was just kind of like, again, one of those, I know them, and they really don't really know me, and we're sitting there, and towards the end, they got ready to leave, and Brad's playing, and I was leaning up close on the tree by the front.
The big
and
tree.
The big tree, right?
As you do.
And I happened to be wearing a Drums and Rums shirt, right? And I said, hey, nice meeting you, and I kind of just pointed at the shirt, just to show, and there was one of those, it was great, the label one, like, oh, Drums and Rums.
Oh, yeah.
But again, to Brad's point, it was like, totally loved it, right? So it's a great little thing here, and like I said, I for a duo as well, too, love listening to them, and love listening to you guys, of course.
And you
love
guys
listening to
you haven't even, I don't know if Brad has even either, but you haven't even heard us with our loop show yet.
No,
I've
no,
not
no.
I've not
Yeah.
caught that show yet.
No.
It's
No,
it's a
no.
whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Everything that you're used to with us changes completely.
Yeah. No, I seen Victoria play over at Cork. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes end of last year. It was a great little Sunday afternoon kind of great thing. listening
Yeah,
to
we've
her
actually
jam
been
out,
picking
so.
up quite a few of those gigs too up there at Cork, which has been really nice. It's super wonderful, man, up there. It's a good time, a good vibe. Like, honestly, it's like brunch heaven. So
It really is.
if you're looking for brunch heaven, there is your spot.
I actually think I have like a Sunday coming up where I have nothing to do, and I think
Yeah, you're gonna go to Cork.
I don't even know.
You're gonna invite
I don't
me. We're
even
gonna
know.
go together. You tell
love
me
it.
when you're going. I'm there with you.
If you're not playing there, I will invite you
Yeah,
guys.
please
and
do.
I want you to come up.
It's either there or the farmers market. So if I'm off,
Yeah.
I'm there.
There you go.
No, it's actually been really awesome
Yeah,
and
if you
really
guys,
fun.
If you guys ever need a drummer,
Yeah.
Okay.
man.
okay.
You know what the
knows the
thing
guy.
is?
Yeah,
The thing is right now is we always need a drummer, first of all. Always, every time. Because yes. But COVID and people right now, the thing that we're finding that we're having to do right now, especially as a duo, which I don't know if you've experienced, Brad, but we're having to pay for a lot less. Like our fee is a lot less because there's just no work to be had otherwise. And people, it's cheaper to hire a solo musician right now.
Right.
So as a duo, we're really we're really struggling because we're still working, and that would be unfair for us to say, but we're still playing, but we're having to take solo pay, and we're having to do solo things because it's just the reality of our lives. So I would love to have other musicians on, and we were talking about that. I would love to have a drummer and a bassist come in every once in a while, and if it were regular times, it would be so easy, but it's so hard right now because we can't even get enough money that we're deserve to get paid versus paying any other instrumentalists to come in with us. So,
and I guess, does that depend on the venues? Because I would assume some places now that
totally.
we're now a year. We've gone through a year.
totally.
Right, and it does.
Well, some venues kind of just went even from having solo and duo gigs to now they only want band gigs because they kind of want to create a commodity so people will come there versus the other place.
Right.
So if we go in there, which they want us to, we got to bring in a third person or a band or whatever, which is great and it works out really well for us. And in that situation, hired,
Yeah.
you
All
know.
right,
But
there you
it's so rare and far and few in between. Right now, we're just happy for whatever work we get because that's the reality that we're living as musicians. Everybody living as musicians, you know?
Right.
And in the service industry, even, it's not just musicians, it's everybody. Servers, bartenders. I mean, I've talked to people that's in the service industry outside of music that are still struggling.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really hard, you know, and we're all just trying to make ends meet and like be happy in our lives and what we do.
The hope is we are now a year past and we're finally will get to.
Well, yeah, it
but-
is a hope, but it's hard, and also the people that aren't out there not wearing masks and not like staying true to like the things that are supposed to protect us. Like
right.
they're making it hard. Like for people like us, they don't understand. Like when you don't wear a mask, you're not. I get
Right.
it.
It's for me. It's for you, not
and
me.
It's right, and I know that, and I understand that, and I'm not here to like get on anybody's cases. I'm just saying like those people make it very difficult
Yeah.
for society to get back to norm.
Right.
Which it could
Yeah.
be quickly if everybody would just like buckle down and
Yeah.
do what
Get
they
it o-
needed
get
to
it
do.
over with. Right.
Yeah,
Just do
you
these
know?
things.
And it's frustrating. It is. As a musician, it's frustrating because I want to be working. I know I could be
Right.
working more, and I could be doing more things out there for everybody else, but I can't be because they're stubborn,
Yep.
self-centered people out there.
But I think that's interesting because you've traveled a lot and again.
You know what?
I don't want to get too much on the COVID stuff, but
No,
I think
yeah.
you've traveled a lot, so you've seen a lot of international.
And even recently, we went to the Virgin Islands,
Right.
And we did it masked,
right.
mask there,
Right.
mask on the flight. Everybody while we were there, I will say, while we were in the Virgin Islands, even in grocery stores, even at the gas station, even at and this is an island, and nobody's like out to par like they
Right.
are with things here. Every single person
Right.
was
Right.
wearing a mask, or at least away from you if they
Right.
weren't, or anything, and that made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's why we were able to go there, and we were able to have a good time on this island because
Yeah.
everybody obeyed these things. So like, it's just that simple.
With your travel to New Zealand, especially going to the other side of the world, practically, right? Is
Yeah.
mask wearing isn't all that really a new thing for the
No,
rest of the world,
and-
especially with in Asia, right? Whenever there's certain
It's a
things-
norm,
Right,
if you're in
so,
the Asian countries
yeah.
and you even have a cold, the
Yeah.
norm is to wear a
Yeah.
mask so that you
'Cause
don't
you're
contaminate
protecting
people
others.
away. Yeah,
Right,
exactly, from
right.
you.
So
And
it's a
even in
courtesy-
New
it's a
Zealand,
courtesy
when
thing.
Jazz
Yeah.
went back there, so she was in Hong Kong on a super yacht, and then she recently went back home. And every person that goes into New Zealand right now has to stay in a hotel, paid for by the New Zealand government, by the way, for 2 weeks, completely. Meals, everything, sponsored for, the hotel room sponsored for. And then she stayed in the hotel for 2 weeks, got her meals, everything, and it was cute. She had like balcony buddies, and they did like jams, and like she did like little videos with them, and it was really cute. And then after her 2 weeks, she was able to go into the country and stuff. But that's why New Zealand hasn't had a case of COVID in the past
Right.
I don't know, like 8 months or something. So it's crazy that like these implements are working, but it's not that crazy. It's true.
tough. It's
you know?
tough in this country because it's a very
We're
large.
too- we're
it's a
too
large,
big, yeah.
It's a big country. and
we're way
we have a
too
lot
big,
of the
yeah.
freedoms that we have to move in and out. So wow, we got a very
It's just
interesting
where
on
it's
that.
too big and it's too like narrow-minded in some places, and so it's hard. It's hard.
All right, Shanece, I'm gonna hit you hard now.
All right, do it.
Are
Go.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you
I'm
ready for this? All right, so
Let's go.
all right, so this is the in 4 beats or less.
Ooh, all right. Wait, what's the tempo? Sorry. Okay, we're
I
ready.
like that. Yeah,
All right,
is it a slow
You
tempo?
said-
Has anybody asked you that before?
You said 4 beats. You didn't give me a tempo. That makes a difference.
There was a little hint of that last week on the podcast
Okay.
where I think we
Maybe
we
I
had,
need
we had
some more
three-
rum. Is that the problem?
Okay.
She needs more
Don't
rum.
threaten her with a good time.
Don't threaten me. I have 2 DDs standing by, okay?
Yeah.
I will not be driving home, everybody. Don't worry. I'm safe.
So
Okay, hit me with it. Let's go.
All right. 4 beats or less. Again,
Okay.
You just got to answer it in.
Okay,
in
I'm gonna
first-
go. I'm gonna go like 60 BPM. Let's go.
All right, so we're gonna play this game to the music of Slayer, right?
Oh gosh,
No.
I'm bad at these. Brad knows
no,
I'm bad at these.
no,
Don't put me
no,
on the
no,
spot.
no,
I feel
okay.
pressure.
Oh, come on.
I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah,
doing
it's
it, but
not-
I'm
not-
bad.
It's not like I'm asking boxers or brief questions.
Well, you should. I'll probably be better.
I was gonna say this would probably be easier.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
All right,
I'm
here
ready.
we go.
I'm ready.
All right. So in 4 beats or less.
Okay.
Most memorable location / festival you performed at.
Ooh, Wales, 100%. I performed in Wales in 2018 in front of, I would say, maybe, a very dedicated 500 people. And I performed in front of bigger audiences, but a very dedicated 500 people. And that was like, we had a half an hour and it felt like 5 minutes.
That's
I wanted
awesome.
it to go on way longer. It was so amazing.
Very cool.
Life changing.
Wales. Okay.
Yes, Wales.
All right. And this might be a little tougher now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So
I'm ready.
in 4 beats or less, uke or drums?
Drums.
Okay. All right. In 4 beats or less, what is something that most people don't know about you?
Oh, I was really academic, and I like super academic. Like, was in medical school.
Yeah, you talked about that, right?
Okay,
Sure,
I can spin fire.
You can what?
I can spin fire. I can spin fire poi, like in Hawaii, like
Oh, okay.
chains and balls on fire. You spin fire. That's the thing.
something that I didn't know.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We're pretty good friends.
There you go.
Yes, I'm very familiar with fire and can spin it around my body
Okay.
the way that I would like it to be.
So so if if Shanece is setting up her drum solo, fire is going to be involved, I guess, right?
Yeah, actually,
Rolling and-
an idea that I've had was to do like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the like stick flips like to
Oh,
the
yeah,
hi hat
like
and
who-
snare
right.
with a beat, but like have them be on fire while I'm like doing it.
That's
Man,
tight. That's so
I would be
tight.
so great at that, right?
Have you seen? Shoot, I'm going to draw them again. The drum talking. I think it's Casey Cooper.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
God yeah, Casey Cooper is great. He's flashy for me, but that's what I'm going for with this.
But did you see
moment, so
the
yes.
fire one?
Oh yeah, that's what you see. It's
Okay.
what he's known for, and he's out like this. Like, no, I just saw a video of him today with like this massive. I mean, he's like
the super
yeah.
Neil Peart drum kit.
yeah, the, like 20 drum kit on there. It's crazy.
So yeah, there's a couple other. I've tried to again through the network of other folks on the guests on the podcast. I've tried to connect to him to have him on the podcast, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
kinda-
I would if you ever have him here. I swear to God, I will come and be your roadie and like literally serve him like I don't know salamis or whatever the fuck he wants, but I will do it.
Serve him salami.
I don't know. I'm thinking of a charcuterie board.
Oh, there.
Like people like that snackiness in their life. I don't know.
Salami.
I'm here, okay? I'm here, and I will serve people salami.
Dead as hell.
Well, wait. So apparently, Brad, because Brad's obviously was I forgot to mention,
Yes.
right? You were a Drums and Rums alum as well.
Oh,
Yes.
are you?
Yes.
I
I did
am.
not know that, Brad. I should have, but I don't.
Yes, as he was. Unfortunately, I don't remember the number, but that was an interesting show we did at the Twisted Tune.
We did a remote at the Twisted Tuna.
Oh, you did it at like a location.
We
Out
did.
live.
Chris Springer was hanging out. Johnny Ringo from the Code Rum Company
Of
was hanging out.
course. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure we did Jaeger bombs at some point
yeah.
during that.
Oh,
That's right.
Lord.
I don't
Last
know
time I
how
did
I
Jaeger.
wound up on the Drums and Rums. I'm a lover of rum, and I play drums.
Well,
with my
that's why
feet.
you ended up on there, because you were a lover of rum.
True.
Kept
It was
drinking.
definitely more of a rum show than a drum show.
So, well, I think so whenever I take video of Brad or post it or whatever, it's like this awkward trying to focus in on what he's doing down low with all the pedals.
With his
and stuff. And I'm
feet,
like,
yeah.
why are you videoing my
Which is
crotch?
a whole... No, because it's a whole new level, because it is...
Yeah.
I mean, Def Leppard, there you go. It's all
That's
feet.
right.
So, like, you're
It
there.
was definitely.
You know?
I definitely watched some Def Leppard videos when putting together my contraptions.
It is worth
so.
it. He's an amazing drummer, and
yeah.
he really made it work with
Yeah,
it,
he did.
So it's crazy.
But so Brad, as we were talking about, talking about Casey and a couple other people that have been on the show as well, is I probably need to resurrect the not wait till end of the year podcast to have the happy hour session, because I think that was a pretty cool thing, right?
Oh my God, it was super cool. You had drummers and rummers together on a Zoom chat, and it
we
was
should do
really
that like in
lot
a
of fun.
room though, not in a Zoom chat, like together. That'd be great.
But truth be told, it was actually a lot of fun, and I even made some brand new friends that are now my friends out of that. So
Yeah.
Paul, thank you.
No, I
That was
love
super
stuff like
cool.
that. That's great. That's amazing. I didn't know that happened. That's awesome.
So I think we had, and again, the guest that was on, one of the guests what was on was Dave Bloom. He's an online drummer,
Yeah, I even know Dave Bloom.
and
You should check out Cobus. As far-fetched, she's South African. I don't know how much you'll be able to get him here, but Cobus, Cobus.
Yep.
I'll send this to you.
Yep.
But he's amazing. He's one of my favorite YouTube drummers.
So-
Man, him and Matt McGuire on YouTube, like, go check them out. They're amazing.
So I think through that, and I think we talked a little bit about it's a pretty cool little community where others have helping each other out, connecting each other's, whether it's a rum connection, whether it's a drum. Again,
Yeah.
I reached out to Dave, just kind of, follow him a lot online too,
Yeah,
and
for
he
sure.
hooked me up, connected me with Juan Mendoza.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Edgar, I'm trying to get Aaron Edgar on the show as well. We've been exchanging some. We're
That's
trying to
amazing.
connect that up. So, but yeah, so that was, So maybe I could do at least every 6 months, maybe do that happy hour
Man.
thing.
I love it, man.
I will say, like, I mean, I don't know how realistic that is to get her here, but I will say one of my favorite drummers of all time, which people don't really like give her a lot of credit, is Cindy Blackman, and she was Lenny Kravitz's drummer in
Oh my god.
like
yes.
the early 2000s.
Well, if
She was-
somebody's
her-
out there not giving her credit,
Yeah, please
That's
fucking do it right.
outrageous.
Because
Yeah.
come on, because
Yeah.
she was my
Oh.
first stick bag ever. I remember my first stick bag I got in 9th grade in high school, which must have been like 2005 or 6 or something. But was a Cindy Blackman drum kit, and
That
it
was like last week because you're 19, remember?
fair. But it was it was this drum bag, and it was like a normal stick bag, but it meant the world to me,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was like, here's this other female drummer who's like out there in the world being a woman with like, my hair, my skin color, like killing it, going out there, like making a name for herself. Like Beyonce's drummer is amazing too right now. She's like 25. Like, it's crazy how like young and amazing these like female drummers are. And they're like setting the example for drummers coming after them, and it's like insane, and people and they go so unnoticed because you don't think Beyonce and you think a drummer.
Oh, yeah.
You think
right.
Beyonce and you think Beyonce, but where I
It's
think
the
Beyonce
band,
and I think a
right.
drummer. So like, it's crazy. But Cindy Blackman was like by far one of my like hands down like first influences ever. When I really thought that I wanted to do this and I felt like I wanted to do this, she was like my idol. Because she was like, she had a fro, she had my skin tone. She's drumming for Lenny Kravitz. She was like in pop, but also like not really, because it like was Lenny Kravitz pop. I don't know. He was like in the mainstream, but like not.
Right.
Who knows where he was? But it worked, and she was there, and it was amazing.
So that reminds me, there was something I saw a few years ago. Was it was an opening for the Blue Man Group, and they were opening up for, and again, I don't know if it was to not say it was a a sexist thing or
Well,
discrimination
yeah.
thing, but again, there's a certain like you mentioned in acting, in movies or film, there's a certain things people are looking for, right? So So there was I recall seeing that they were again, being very inclusive, right? Right.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, so could you see yourself as a blue woman?
Well, I thought so. Right after high school,
And again, not the guys on the stage, but again, there's a full band,
no,
right?
I
Right,
know.
yeah,
I'm aware.
I love
Trust
that.
me.
I love that show.
I do too. I love
Yes.
Blue Man Show. I love everything about all the percussion stuff. I think for me, yes, 100%. I would love to be a part of like a percussive show. Even if I wasn't like the main act in it, like there are a lot of things I like watched in high school that were like percussion heavy and percussion like DCI, things like that I really would have loved to be in and been a part of. But it's so funny because I'm just gonna say this right now, but I watched a thing the other day of like, tell me something that's a cult that you don't think was a cult, but it should maybe be labeled as a cult. And like DCI, right? Like Drum Corps International. Because you come out of high school and it's like this drum corps and you have to go in there if you want to continue doing this. And then they're amazing. They're phenomenal and like the best shows you'll ever see in your life. But the same time, you're paying them. You're paying them, thousands of dollars to be in there and whatever. So, it's a hard pill to swallow. But to answer your question, yes, I would love to be a part of like any kind of percussive, marching bandy thing that's not so much so like I'm just playing music, I'm playing rock, I'm playing people's songs. I would love to be part of like
you're part of a bigger thing.
Right. I would love to be a part of like something that's just percussion or
Right.
just drums and not like I'm drums for somebody else.
Right.
So that would be cool. In itself, it would be obviously amazing, but who knows?
One of our previous guests we had was Jim Donovan from the Rusted Root.
Yeah, that's great.
And he his new band, Sun King Warriors, there's obviously he's fronting the band now, but again there's a very percussive heavy. Again, I think I told him like when we're trying to start the podcast up, I said, all right, well I was too busy and mesmerized about he was just jamming out on the the drums and the band and so forth. But maybe we need to do a live Drums Rub podcast from a drum circle event somewhere. So
Yeah. I would love to do that. That'd
all
be
right,
great.
so here's your last question.
All right,
Shanece,
hit
ready?
me with
all
it.
right.
All right, I'm ready.
This is a softball one.
Oh, okay. You saved the softball one for last? Come on. Okay, let's go.
All right, so if Sweetwater gave you a shopping spree, what would you buy?
Oh,
Well, maybe there wasn't a
man.
sweet softball though.
Maybe not.
No,
That's
not
a tough
are you.
question for me.
Yeah,
Hey,
you.
hold on. Hey, Brad, Sweetwater's watching right now too, right? Yeah. So there you
Okay,
go.
I would go. I would go with the cocktail kit.
Cocktail kit.
I would because I have a decent sized kit, so I would go with maybe like a I don't know, just a cocktail kit. But I would want the cymbals. I would want like a nice crash. I would want a nice splash. I want a nice ride. I want a ride crash. I would say I want a ride crash because on a cocktail you want versatility, right? You want to be able to do what you want to do on like one thing. So ride crash, maybe one medium crash, hi-hat, and then I definitely want the cocktail. I want a travel size kit that sounded like it was my main kit, but it's still small. That's what I will want.
Okay. All right.
Bang, bang.
So I like the. So did you see what she did there? Cocktail kit.
Jams and cocktail kit.
Jams and cocktail kit.
So it's interesting you talk. That is something because
Full circle, right? We're doing
right.
the full circle.
I thought about that for a while too, and I was like, well, okay, what kind of kit? Because I've got our little Questlove breakbeat kit at home.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I have been thinking about this because I want to get another kit
Mm-hmm.
right now, and so I've been looking at it, and the kits that I've been looking at are cocktail kits. So
Okay.
it was a welcomed question.
That was no. Well, you
Yes.
know what? I think would be interesting is because I did ask Dan Grabsky. He was also a previous guest on there, and he owns the Daytona Beach Drum Center. So again, if there's anything you're looking for stuff,
Yeah, definitely. I'll check it out.
Which, dropping a little hint, we may add another feature into the podcast where we do have a drum thing that will possibly include Dan to talk about drums or
I'd love to.
drum gear or kind of to get Dan's really. So yeah, so he's located in Daytona. So perfect. I've got a Drums and a Rums place in Daytona with Copper Bottom and Daytona Beach Drum Center.
And you've got like a drums and a rums person between me and
That's
Brad
right.
here. Brad's the rums, obviously. He's the rums. I'm the drums. That's fine. I'm stealing some of your rums, Trey.
It's fine.
I'm gonna steal some.
want you to do it.
So do you think we can actually envision a Little Things cocktail kit
Yes.
performance?
Yes. And let me tell you, I will have a drummer here.
If you can see it,
If you can
then you
only-
can do it. If you just believe
I thought of
it.
if you could only see
Oh.
the way she loves me, baby, you don't understand.
It's a good one too.
There you go.
I was going, I believe I could fly, but here nor there.
Yes, you know there.
But yes, I'm in.
There you go.
100%.
We're in. We're all in.
All right, Sweetwater, make that happen. Buy this girl a cocktail kit.
Somebody buy me a cocktail kit. And I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm sorry. You're just going to be out of the kindness of your heart.
It's just
for
a
me.
straight sponsorship.
Yeah, really, you're just going to do this for me. And I'm sorry. I love you. I will love you forever. That's what I'll do.
So yeah, no, that's I think that would be kind of interesting. Now I saw there was here's the band. They were coined a psychobilly band.
Oh, psychobilly's cool. Yeah,
So-
I've heard a few psychobilly bands.
So there
actually.
was a band called the Necromantics
Yeah, I think I have heard of them. maybe in
because
passing, but-
because their former drummer was I'm drawing a blank now on her, but she was a girl drummer, female woman and she was just again amazing, right? Follow one of those again. Followed on YouTube. It just
Yeah.
here's a person who's playing double bass in high heels, right?
Yeah,
in her drum
no,
covers,
that's
right?
great. Yeah, that's
Right?
great.
And so they came into town. They played at Respectables, and I was like, I'm going to see them play because I wanted, again, I'm a fan of her, and again, drums, and it was just again, she just killed it. So later on, I think before she had left the band, she had posted her own cover video of one of the tunes, and she was playing on a cocktail kit.
Yeah. No, Cocktails Kids, man, they're so unrecognized and so like it's so good. Every time I played on one, especially when I'm touring, it's the best thing in the world because people don't think that it's gonna sound as raw and as much
Right.
as they do, but they do. They sound amazing.
And I think if especially the type of music you're playing, that if there's a lot of movement and a lot of dancing, right?
And for me, I'm doing a lot of that. You know,
Right.
so it's great for me. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
All right, so somebody make that happen. Let's make a wish.
Yes, we're making a wish.
Well, not that kind of well.
Oh damn.
So
But yeah, a wish nonetheless.
yeah, there you go. No,
we'll do it.
wish nonetheless. Like Amazon wish list, right?
There
Isn't that
we
what it
go.
is? There you go. So, all right. So as we start to wrap up here, Shanece, so what do you got? What do you got going on here? Let's
Well-
let people know how to check you out. Where are you at?
Yes. So I'm playing it with The Little Things, so thelittlethings.com, and also that will take you to all of my other things. So if you want to find out what I'm doing as Shanece the drummer or Lefty Loosey, just go to thelittlethings.com and you can find tabs on there with what I'm doing with my drummers and my bands. I'm doing a show as Lefty Loosey this Friday at Sailfish Brewery in Fort Pierce, Florida, and that's starting at 8 and ending at 11. So come on down, check it out. But again, if you want to know what we're doing ever, anytime, check out thelittlethingsduo.com, and we try to keep that as updated and as posted as possible. So check it out on there, whether it's drum gigs, duo gigs, anything, check it out. Everything will be on there that you need to know.
Awesome. All right. So, and Brad, do you want to save that for your?
Are you asking me for shameless plugs?
Yes, bring him in,
Yeah.
Brad.
Oh
Tell
my
him what
God.
you're at.
Just
Tell him
say-
where you're at.
say check out. Right.
Well,
just say,
no, of
I'll be
course.
playing
just
with
check
Brad.
us out tomorrow.
No, Drums and Rums, of course, is a huge supporter of my podcast, the Jams and Cocktails
Yes,
podcast.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, Shanece and Katie were feature on our, and Lefty Loosey was a feature on our show, and we do our best to feature a lot of the local artists that are out there hustling. You're not like up and coming, but like they're out there.
Doing
they've been
their thing.
doing their thing.
Yeah.
So while you're watching them play at the corner of Applebee's, you can come and see them on our show and get to know their story and get to know these people. And the next time you see them at a huge festival, you go, oh my God, I know everything about them. So that's basically Jams and Cocktails. That's our
Yeah.
mandate. And we get some jams and some cocktails. But Paul Robertson and Drums and Rums, you were doing it before Jams and Cocktails, and you're continuing to do it, and it's been my absolute pleasure to host you here in the Legendary JNC Lounge tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll drink to
Cheers,
that. Oh, I lost all my straws though.
Oh. Well, here's to you, Brad.
I'll take.
Here's
It's
to
been
you.
my absolute pleasure. Anytime, you're always welcome, my friend.
Well,
Thank you.
it's
Thank
been
you.
our pleasure and my pleasure specifically. Thank you for having us.
Of
Brad.
course,
Yes.
of course.
So I'm totally Shanece. Thank you for accepting the invite.
Well, thank you for having
again
me.
to really again come back to the month of March here, right?
Yeah.
Women's Month, and
Yeah.
and to celebrate women drummers, those that are in the rum industry. Totally, great. And again, it's not just about us guys that are. It's the world. Again, without us, without our female, well, I'd say partners, not in that sense, but
Counterparts,
Counterparts.
man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great.
there
Yeah,
you
thank
go.
you. It is without diversity it's a boring friggin' world, right? And again, because everybody brings different things to the table, and without that, you never open your eyes up to certain things.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
I loved being here. I loved answering all the questions. And man, I love the drums.
That's
I
right,
love the
yes.
drums and I love the rums.
So before I go ahead and wrap up the show here, so since you love the drums and rums,
Oh, do I get a thing? I get a thing.
you get your own.
Oh, well, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Your very own. I know.
Oh.
The custom ink is not a sponsor, not or at least not yet.
But they do a good job.
Yes, they do.
I
They
love it. I
do.
love
They
it. Thank
do.
you so
Yes.
much. I appreciate it.
Yes, so we'll make sure that you sport your shirt there. So, no, I totally was excited about this, and especially about getting together, and especially thank you, Brad, for having us here in the lounge here, and looking forward to the rest of the month. Looking forward to supporting you. Looking to support everything
Thank
you're doing, and the little things you're doing, and all your projects as well too. And also my buddy here, Brad, my main man, for again mutual help and support each other. Again, we go back to we talked about our maybe a bromance. So also his he's sporting a very sweet Drums and Rums hat there.
Yes, he is.
Right,
So
so-
somebody get it out there. Get it
Yeah,
out there.
so I want to definitely give a shout out to embroidery and so more. Right, they made some of our new hats and products there. So definitely give a shout out to them. Check them out. They can do some of your prototyping if you're looking for some of the products, embroidering, and also some of that was the work there on the hats as well too. So thank you, Brad, for I know as you said you're a hat guy. So
I'm a hat guy. I
Woo,
love it.
he's
I
a
love
hat
it
guy.
so much. I really do.
excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, all right. So make sure we're getting ahead and ready to wrap up this podcast. Crazy enough, this might be
The rum is done, so
No,
we're done.
no,
the
no,
rum is done, so we're done.
There's a little bit more. I've learned my lesson. If you go back and listen to episode number 2, where that podcast got broken into 2 pieces because we drank the whole bottle of rum talking to Renee and Brad from Loch Ness Monster. So I've learned my lesson about trying to be very in control. So anyway, totally excited about tonight. I appreciate everybody. So this episode will be available on all your favorite podcast locations on Thursday, March 4th. So shoot, that's like in 2 days. So I've got some
It
work to
is.
do.
You got some work to do.
Yeah. So one of the things that I also love talking about is obviously when I'm checking out Brad's podcast there, I'm working on my posting, get my podcast put together and so forth. So again, I try to jump in there, listening to and chime in, and especially play his music. Name that tune. And
Yeah.
he likes when I throw in some crazy shit into the. Was it last week Snoop Dogg or something? Oh, Puppy Love. That was the
Puppy
Puppy
Love.
Love. Right. References to that. So yeah. So please check out Shanese's podcast if you're watching on the stream.
Please do.
It will be on Thursday, March 4th. So I guess in 2 days here. Check out Drums and Rums podcast. Give it a like and follow it. And there's lots of other lessons. Again, as Brad, we've talked about a lot of other podcasts that we've already had. Brad's on there as well. A lot of other great guests that we've had in the past. as well as follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we're also trying to give it a shot at TikTok. And maybe I might shake a booty or two, or
TikTok.
I'll do it.
maybe I'll do one of those silhouette, filters. Again, again, I'll get in trouble. Also, visit the website there, drumsandrums.com. That's easy to remember. Also, want to thank you to Brad Brock for his hospitality here in the legendary Wow, I drank more and actually got it right. That's crazy. The legendary JNC Lounge.
Yeah.
Check out his podcast,
Jams and Lounge.
Check out
the lounge.
check out his podcast on the Jams and Cocktails, available everywhere, and his new radio station on Live 365. So I really dig that, especially when I'm getting going in the morning, kick on the tunes there. So as well as I think you stream your podcast out there as well.
I do, JNC Radio.
Yep. So that's the only one that I actually have in my favorite there on it, because I have no idea what else to listen to. So also, and again, I want to thank Shanece for coming on to the podcast here tonight and kicking off Women's Month here. Totally great. Great story. Great, very strong, who she is.
She's a wonderful voice for women in general, but women musicians, and if you want to even just file it down to women drummers, like, she's so incredibly humble, she's so personable, and she's so furious, and to me, it's what attracts me to her art so intensely.
Right.
It's like no apologies to what she does, and that's what makes Shanece probably the best female drummer I've ever met personally.
Is it in the sense, in the nicest kind of way, no apologies, no fucks given. Here's Shanece.
Well,
This is Shanece.
In the nicest way. She's the sweetest
it's
way.
in the nicest way. Honestly, yes. I am the way that I'm gonna be, and I am the woman that I'm gonna be, and you know what? I'm gonna play drums, and I'm gonna be the person that I want to be. And if people aren't into it, then that's fine. I'll move on, but it's okay. I'm happy, and I'm unapologetically myself, and that's okay.
Exactly.
You can't ask for anything more. Thank you, Shanece.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much, Brad. I love you guys. Thank you for hosting and having me, and this has been wonderful, and I've loved being here.
So, thank you all for. This is where the backbeats meet spirit. Do we want to end this with how we started it, or how you started it?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to jump on there? So, all right. So, we're gonna go ahead and do a little jam out here to the. While I screw up the handheld mic, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so Brad.
got it.
Yeah.
It's on.
I don't know. I thought it was on, but again, this is why you don't give drummers, the mic stuff here. So.
Oh, I just killed it. This is why you don't give drummers the mic stuff again. All right. Well.
So all right. So let's hear it, Shanece, and then I'll go ahead and join in. All right. Thank you all. This is where the backbeats meets the spirits. Thank you, Shanece.
Thank you.
Woo-woo!